everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with Donald Wills for another film discussion. And today, hi Donald. And
Uh,
today, hey, what's up? And what's up, Adrian? What's up, Donald? Today we are going to be looking at the entire Rocky franchise, and that includes
woo.
woo, that's all the Rockies, that's the three Creed films, that's the Rocky versus Drago, that's the documentary that's on YouTube. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of stuff to look at here. And I think you and I have probably done more prep on this than maybe anything.
I know it's pretty sad, isn't it?
Well, we're I might as well just tell people we're gonna do Rambo next month. So we'll end the year with Rocky and we'll start it with Rambo. The good thing is there's only like 5 of those. And the thing that I did notice about those is I have the box set
Mhm.
of Rambo 1 through 4. And then I
Yeah,
realized 4, just Rambo, is cut. It's the
yeah.
R-rated version. So I had to buy a separate Rambo 4 for the extended, like, unrated cut.
The director's cut.
Yeah. So I have 2
Okay.
versions of that. And then I
Hmm.
guess if we decide to do down the road Expendables, it'll be the same thing where
Yeah.
I have Expendables 1 through 3, but one is the theatrical, so I got to buy a whole new Blu-ray just to get that extended director's cut. So thank you,
Man,
Stallone.
capitalism, man. Gotta love
I I know. What's the hell? And then we were just discussing how if we want to really be complete, we got to pick up the 4K for Rockies, because Rocky 4 is Rocky theatrical, Rocky vs. Drago, the making of, and I think there's one other thing.
And it's the only way you can get Rocky versus Drago, the director's cut, on physical media through the
That's
4K.
that sucks. That really
I wish there
does.
was a way I could get the Blu-ray just the individual, but evidently, nah, you
I mean,
gotta double dip on
you
all of them. So
you might be able to. It's a little bit of a bootleg, but you'd probably be able to off of eBay.
shh, Sylvester Stallone is watching. Shh.
Sorry, Sylvester. Sorry, Sly, but make your stuff more available, dude. You know. So I don't know. Are we going to include with Rambo the cartoon? Because you pointed out the cartoon. I forgot about that. Maybe one
Probably not.
episode. Watch like one on if it's on YouTube, just so we can say that we watched it.
Sure. Watch the the pilot episode.
I mean,
Or
it's like the RoboCop cartoon. Like how could you make these ultra R-rated movies into, or unrated films
kids
into a cartoon
movies,
for
little
kids?
kids cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, let's be real here. When you were a kid and your parents said you weren't allowed to watch something because it was rated R,
Oh, I watched
like,
it.
but you could
I tried.
watch the cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, very gung
But
ho
it's not the
America.
same. It's not getting blood
It's
and
not
guts. I want blood and guts.
guts. That's why we should watch at least just one episode. Do maybe like the first episode, just so we could talk about it. To just how, yeah, because I don't even know how many seasons it went on for. But there was never a Rocky cartoon, but there was a Rambo cartoon.
See, Sly? See what you're messing
See,
on?
see. So I don't really know why we decided on doing the Rocky films since it's December, but I do know Rocky 4, the fight takes place on Christmas. So does this make this a Christmas episode?
Rocky Five is also has a Christmas scene.
Oh, what did I say? Oh, Rocky 5.
Well,
Does it?
Rocky Four, the fight is on Christmas.
Is
I
on
said
Christmas.
Rocky Five also has a Christmas. Because
Oh,
remember, Santa Claus comes down and
oh, that's right. Polly comes down.
um maybe Rocky. No, that's Thanksgiving. Never mind. Rocky One was Thanksgiving.
And I know one was on supposed to be like New Year's. I think like the first one is on New Year's or something, first or second one.
Probably
So okay, so this is our Christmas episode then.
Christmas episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Rocky.
yeah.
It
so
counts, darn it! It counts.
so we got our stuff here. Like we always like to show off our stuff, and you have the same thing that I have.
Yep.
So now did you get this with it? Because I rediscovered cards.
Yep.
I haven't even taken
Cards.
them out of the thing. Let's see here. See if I can take them out.
These are like plastic wrapped or something.
Yeah, I still got the wrap around it. There it goes.
Yeah, I kept. I've
Okay.
taken it out and looked at them, but I just kept it so I can,
Yeah,
have
I'll
them.
stick it back in here, but I don't
Yeah.
even think I've ever looked at these. So you have the Italian Stallion, which I thought for some reason said the Italian Stallone. And it's just
Yep.
blank on the back there. And then this is Southpaws. Uh, ought to be Southpaws ought to be banned. Oh, that's Mickey.
I'd be banned. That's Mickey.
And then the King of Sting. I do like this one.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. There's one about below. Yeah, King of Sting. So that was pretty good. I like that.
There you go.
This guy'll kill you to death. That's the way these people talk. So that's with Clubber.
I mean, it's Philadelphia, man. It's Philadelphia.
Yeah. Whatever he hits, he destroys. So that's Dolph.
I mean, we're also the ones that
just
say
Rocky.
we're also the one of the few states that we don't wash our clothes, we wash our clothes. How many people I hear say, "Oh, it's gonna," or George Washington? There's no freaking R, man. Why? Why are you doing this to me? There's no R.
Now, did you keep the back of yours, the paper thing that stuck to it?
I do have it. I took a lot of mine off and put them into a bin so they wouldn't get ruined.
Okay. Yeah, so it's got this back here where it shows everything. And then
Yeah.
this is Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Rocky Balboa.
No director's cut though.
Of which one?
I said no director's cut.
Oh, no, there's no director's cut of, but there is a work print, a pretty famous work print of Rocky 5 that is on YouTube. They shrunk the screen, so I guess YouTube wouldn't, copyright it. And I did watch the ending of that because I was told the ending was different. And there is a Rocky Balboa has an alternate ending. Did you watch any of that stuff since you own?
I have not. I've heard of the work print of 5. I've heard a lot of the scenes they cut out were a lot
it's
better
10 minutes longer.
makes most of the film make a lot more sense, apparently.
Yeah, one day I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to download it off of YouTube and then stick it on my editor, and I'm going to see if I can blow it up, and then I'll download that and see how it looks.
Okay.
And see if I can watch it that way. But and the Rocky disc has some good behind the scenes stuff. It's got like a 90-minute documentary. It's 3 parts. There's trailers, there's other stuff, audio commentary. Nothing. And then we're back to something. Audio commentary, deleted scenes, all that type of stuff. So that's so annoying that there's like nothing on these. And that documentary is only about Rocky. It's not about the other movies. I wanted something. Give me like
From what I
10 minutes.
understand, those are the first printings Blu-rays that were the bare bone Blu-rays. They just like repackaged everything. So
yeah, there's not even a trailer. I mean, it's just like movie scene selection and I think like sound. That's it.
There's subtitles.
That may be it. Movie scene subtitle. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's
subtitles are a special feature now.
You know how I feel about these things. That is not a special feature.
I know. That's why I said it.
So this is pretty good. But I am happy with it. You know,
Yeah,
it's the best that there was at the time. And then I do own, because I like these better than the Rocky movies. I got to tell you, I don't know why. Maybe I just like old Rocky, but all three Creed movies.
I do need to pick those up at some point. So I have watched them. I watched them on streaming. So
So we'll get more into these when we actually review them. But
yeah,
these have a bunch of special features on them, and so I'm happy about these. And I definitely made sure I wanted the slipcovers.
yes.
So I got all.
I may just get the one with the three with
Yeah,
the
I've seen
triple.
that because
So
it's
mainly just
just
because that has the slipcover.
yeah, and it's just DVD Blu-ray, so it's not like you're missing a disc. Like
Yeah,
there's two discs. So I think that would be the way to go if I didn't buy them as they were coming out.
yeah. I think these are just the Blu-rays though. It's not the DVDs, but I'm cool with that.
So yeah, I'm a big Creed fan.
I
So
enjoyed the Creed movies.
so that's all my stuff. I have all the soundtracks, but they're all digital, and I have like some compilation ones and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they're definitely
I
you know
do have a digibook of the first movie, but I don't, for the life of me, I don't know where it's at. So I thought I had it on the shelf here, but evidently I don't. So I must have put it in a bin when I took a lot of this crap over my dad's house. So
oh, okay. Well, there.
oh well. So I have a digibook.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Rocky. Let's talk about Rocky. Um,
Rocky
and as we know, Rocky came out 1976.
76.
I was born in 1967, and I saw it in the theater, I want to say at least twice. That tells you how old I
I did not see it in the theater. I saw it
am.
on I saw it on DVD like everybody.
Yeah, my mother was, since I was into movies, she could just drop me off like on the weekends and just be like, yeah, go. And she just like would pay for one movie and I'd just theater hop. But sometimes I would just stay in that one movie and just watch it. So it's so that was one of those films that I know I stayed in a few times. And I've never been in the sports, but I love sports movies. So
Yeah,
I like
it's a
watching
classic.
sports live. I just don't like watching it on TV. But it is a classic, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's we all know. I mean, if you're in the film, you kind of know that the script for Rocky is pretty famous.
yeah.
So, and Stallone had already been in stuff before. It's not like Rocky was his first film.
It was his first feature, his first lead film.
Yeah, and he was because looking here. Oh, this has got to go down a long friggin' ways. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so he started acting, it looks like in 1969.
Okay.
And oh,
And
that's
he also
right.
did some Broadway. He also did some Broadway musicals and stuff like that for a little bit there.
Yeah. You see, he did like, yeah, Shakespeare and
Hmm.
like Hamlet but
Yeah.
he was, yeah, stuff I've never heard of. The Square Root, The Party at Kitty and Studs, The Side-Along Glances of a Pigeon Kicker. I forgot that he was
Okay.
in Woody Allen's Bananas, 1971.
I
Uh,
didn't.
and then Rebel, Lords of Flatbush. As a kid, I worshipped that movie because once Rocky was a hit, it played on TV all the time.
Okay.
And that even has Henry Winkler. So that was the big thing, is that you got Rocky and the Fonz in one movie.
There you go.
And they were pretty much like their characters. They had leather jackets on. They were all kind of thuggy. Prisoner of Second Avenue, Capone, Death Race 2000, 1975. Played Machine Gun Joe, Roger Corman movie. Love that film. God, yeah, just Farewell, My Lovely, Police Story, Kojak, Cannonball, which is also Roger Corman, 1976. And then we hit Rocky.
I mean, they always said that Roger Corman was responsible for getting a lot of these people known. So
yeah, without Corman, we wouldn't have these guys.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, right after Rocky, he did Fist. I remember that. That I think I saw on Showtime or HBO, one of those ones back in the day.
Okay.
And then Paradise Alley is the one that you and I had talked about.
Okay.
So that's so we can leave it there for now. But it's yeah, that Paradise Alley is interesting, because that was, from what I understand, was kind of like the first Rocky script. And then he sold it to that sleazeball, and then he kind of rewrote it for MGM, or United Artists.
Okay.
And that's what they made, but he was under obligation to make Paradise Alley, and nobody from Rocky wanted to even work on it.
Yeah, it was his first directorial, and almost stopped him from even being able to direct Rocky 2.
Oh, really? Does it say why?
Because of how bad the script was, I guess.
Oh, geez.
Because of how bad of a flop that movie, Paradise, what was it, Paradise Alley, whatever it's called?
Oh, yeah, Paradise Alley.
So apparently, because of how bad that movie flopped, because I don't think Stallone was even didn't really know how to direct that well. So when that flopped, and I guess they couldn't get the guy from the first movie to come and direct Rocky 2, so he said, "Hey, why don't I take a shot?" And they're like, maybe, we don't know. I mean, look at what happened to Paradise Alley over here.
Yeah, I remember seeing it as a kid. I saw it in the theater because I went, "Oh crap, it's another Rocky," and he's not Rocky. He's not even a boxer. He's like a trainer, and it's a period piece movie. It's like the 30s or 40s, something like that.
Okay. I've never seen it, so I can't comment on it.
But it's produced by Roger Corman's brother, Gene Corman. So it's still kind of a Roger Corman movie. It's got a good director. Norman Jewison is a very good director. But yeah, yeah, every film student, I think, has read about the script for Rocky and what happened with it, and how it really is a like the classic underdog story. Do you think it would have worked if he won at the end?
Probably not.
So he had to lose.
But for for a lot of the people that don't know the story, basically, so Stallone was homeless at the time. I guess he was living in his car, and he started. I guess he saw a boxing match, and that's how he got the story for Rocky. So he went and he got into writing gear. Basically, he wrote it in like 3 days, and then he went to all these different places to sell the script to, and everyone kept like saying, "This is good, this is good. We need a big actor," and Sylvester wouldn't let it go unless he was the lead actor, because he said, "If anyone knows Rocky better, no one knows Rocky better than me." So then eventually they let him do it. So that's pretty much how Sylvester became the star he is today.
Yeah, he definitely didn't really have any hits before. I mean, just even as an actor. I mean, but he definitely has a like a collection of movies before Rocky.
Yeah. I guess, like I said, this was his first, from what I'm understanding, this is his first lead. He wasn't like Like before it was like, you know, little small parts, or like one scene that he got, or just to get him off the ground, I guess.
Yeah, something like Lords of Flatbush. I think there were like 5 guys in that, and he was one of the guys. They were all greasers. And I heard that's
Okay.
how Henry Winkler got Happy Days, was because of
Okay.
that. But that was before Rocky. And then, yeah, once Rocky was such a huge hit, like I said, that thing was on TV like every week.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be one of the Lords of Flatbush. I even got a leather jacket. My mom bought me a leather jacket just to be one of the Lords of Flatbush.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's and of course it introduces us to, at least to my knowledge, Carl Weathers. I don't think I knew who he was before Rocky.
Yeah.
And Creed will always be, Apollo Creed will always be one of the greatest like sports figures ever, like for movies.
Yeah.
He'll always be one of the greats.
Yeah.
So it's because Rocky is what do you think about him not being so smart? Does that
I
help his
mean,
character? Like he's not like a
I
normal.
I think being smart is not always gonna get you far in life. I mean, yeah, yes, it'll get you far in life, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's not gonna make you or break you at this point. This is showing you that, hey, even someone as dim-witted as Rocky can make it in life. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I interpret Rocky. He's like he's supposed to be the guy that not is looked down upon. The scum of the earth, the ones that would never make it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the way I always interpret Rocky. So him actually showing, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And plus, on top of that, I watched I mentioned this before we hit record. His daughters have a podcast, and I guess he just made a documentary, like I think a couple of weeks ago. I think last month, I think, and it was called Sly, and he goes into a lot of his backstory about how his father was abusive. And then in that interview, he said that his mother didn't even want him. His mother was like, "You're a mistake. You're." If basically to the point where he even said that she told him that if I had my choice, I would have opened this window, leave you out on the windowsill to freeze to death.
Man, it
So
sounds
he
like
was
my
based.
mom. My mom has said shit like that. Yeah, right on. Okay.
He said he thought he was joking, but evidently she came from an abusive family as well. So basically, he was alone his entire time. So that's why he started getting into movies, and basically he he said in the interview that movies was fantasy, what he calls fantasy, which is movies and all that, is basically was his escape. It was his way of coping with the abuse of his father, the abuse of his mother, the non love that he got. And actually, an interesting thing is a lot of the lines that you hear in the Rocky movies is actually him like trying to get those inner demons out of him. For example, the scene where Mickey comes to visit him, when he gets the shot with Apollo Creed, and he's like, "Hey, I can help you," and he's like, "You were never there for me. Why you want me now?" He said that line was basically his way of telling his father off at that point.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then Paulie and Adrian are essentially Paulie being a representation of his father, and Adrian being him. How he was always abusing her, and telling her she's worthless and all that, and basically this is what his father would tell him all the time. So
Oh
that's
wow.
why. So that's why that's why I said knowing that I will never be able to watch this film again the same way, knowing that information. I will know. I will be viewing it with like a different set of eyes now. So
Wow.
it was interesting. I thought if you can when you release this video, I'll leave a link to that to that interview that his daughters had with
Okay,
with
yeah, I'll
Sylvester.
add it to it. So yeah, because he
So you
also had
guys
his
can watch it.
brother. He had Frank. I mean,
He didn't really talk too much about. He didn't say too much about that. I mean, at least in the interview, I don't know about the documentary. He might have went more into detail
Yeah,
about
because
him.
because there's the documentary Sly, and then he has like it's like a Kardashians type show with him and his daughters. I don't know what channel that's on, but yeah, there was, and I don't even know if it's still on, but yeah, there was a thing with him and his daughters.
Okay.
So there was that, and then yeah, Frank Stallone, he's the main singer that's around the garbage can that's on fire, and there
Okay.
and he sings that song like "Take It Back, Take It Back." It's like in almost all the movies, but in different ways. And I think
Okay.
Frank, he performed it and he wrote it because he wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
And I'm guessing
I didn't know
Stallone
that.
said, "Yeah, you got to put my brother in this." So
Okay.
his brother's
I
in
didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, and Frank then went off to do his own action movies, which of course
Okay.
all bombed. They were all ultra low budget bombs. And then he had a very short lived, maybe 2 episodes, 3 episodes of a series called Brothers. So it's
Okay.
him, it's Patrick Swayze's brother, and one other brother of a famous person.
So the Brothers movie, pretty much,
Yeah, I think that was the whole
or
joke,
or
it
his
was,
episode of it.
yeah, TV show, and I think that
TV
was
show.
the gimmick, is that these are
Okay.
and they played themselves. So Frank's had a little bit of a career,
Okay.
kind of. I think one of his action films is called Easy Kill. I could still kind of picture the video box for that one. And
Okay.
then yeah, Talia Shire, who's Adrian, of course, is a Coppola. So she's related to
Okay.
Coppola, to Francis Ford Coppola.
Okay.
Um it's interesting that in the 70s, during around this time, it's like Italians played Jewish, Jewish played Italians, and they were always in the same movies. Like James Caan is Jewish, but he always played an Italian. And
Okay.
all of these things were somehow linked behind the scenes. So like Stallone being Italian, and then Coppola and Scorsese and all of these, De Niro, all of these guys, a lot, of course, came from Roger Corman, but they
Mhm.
were all somehow linked together. And like how Stallone eventually directed Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta's
Okay.
an Italian. And then Stallone was going to be doing at one point Godfather 3, when it looked like Coppola may not do it. I think that's kind of what motivated Coppola, was that they were offering it to other people.
Okay.
But it's interesting, all these people are connected in some sort of weird Italian Jewish Hollywood
So
way.
the Italian Jewish Illuminati kind of deal.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, at that point, I guess they kind of that they kind of ruled Hollywood. Uh, so it's and I hate Paulie in every movie. They slightly redeem him, but I hate him in every single film. I don't understand. Now, with you telling me that it's supposed to be his dad, that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't
I think that's
Paulie,
just for the first movie, like because in the first movie, he's a real jerk.
he's a dick in all of
he
them.
but in the second one on, he's more of a supposed to be more of a comedic character more than a jerk. I mean, he's
and
still a
and and
jerk, but
an abusive, comic, alcoholic, racist character. Because even with him in part 3, when they go to LA, he's got the fucking don't tread on me on the back of his coat.
That was in Rocky 4.
Oh, was it in 4? Okay. So Rocky 4. So he
It
says,
may have been 3 as well. I'm not sure.
I know it's definitely in one of the two. You're probably right with part 4, but he does say really racist shit in part 3 when they get to LA.
He does in every movie.
Yeah, he is horrible, and
in
I mean,
in Rocky Balboa, when little Marie's son leaves, and Rocky says, "Hey, have a good day." He's like, "Are we being robbed?" And I'm like, "Bro, what?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hide the silverware." I'm like, what?
How did this guy not get the crap beaten out of him? I mean, it's
I don't know.
And he's always an alcoholic. I mean, we'll get a little bit more into it, I guess, as film to film, because he does some really horrible stuff. And
I mean, if you really want to get down to it, Mickey is kind of a racist too, if you think about it. I mean, he did call Rocky, the slang for Italian, which I will not repeat because we don't want to be canceled on this show.
Yeah, I've been called that a couple times because I'm Italian. So, but it's I always thought Mickey was Irish. Mickey. I figured Irish. That's the way he looked, Irish. And then when he passes, he's Jewish. I'm like, okay. I was figured he was.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured with his mannerisms and how he looks and kind of how the whole boxing, his whole boxing place is set up. It just reminded me of, okay, this is kind of like how an Irish guy would do it, but I guess not. So yeah, that's weird. And
looks can be deceiving, man. Looks can be deceiving.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Adrian with the short black hair, I thought was hot. I was like, no wonder Rocky dug her. She might have been shy, but man, did I think that she was hot. When she grew it out and kind of dyed it, not so much. I mean, she's still, very, pretty, but it's like, oh no, I could see Rocky looking at her and going like, man, take those glasses off and you're hot.
Yeah.
And she was. So it's just I wish that she would have stayed that way. And it's interesting. Yeah. Paulie is all weird in that first film because when she finally goes out with Rocky, he takes her back and pretty much assaults her, and ends up having sex with her, I guess. Because he like puts his arms up on the door and won't let her leave. These are things that would not be done these days. All the stuff that he does with her is not, I have no problem with it, whatever. But I don't think
the product of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
By today's standards, especially when she's like, "I'm not comfortable here. I want to leave," and he's like,
won't.
"No, stay." He's like, "Stay here. Stay here. I like you. Stay here." Like it's like, that wouldn't fly today.
No, and she's like, "I'm not comfortable being in a man's apartment," and then they hook up. And then she goes back to the house and Paulie is screaming about her not being a virgin anymore. It's just like, wow, dude, you're a good Christian. I mean, you only beat the crap out of her and speak to her horribly. And it's like, why do you care if she's a virgin or not? Like, do you have a thing for her?
I mean, yeah, it's like
she's a grown woman. That's her business.
I mean, he wanted her to hook up with Rocky, right? At first,
I thought that was the deal. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's kind of had a problem with it. Like, well, dude, what are you doing, man? Do you want to hook up with Rocky, or you not want to hook up with Rocky? Make up your mind.
Yeah, because that was I met this girl when I was working at a video store, and she told me that her brother was trying to get his friend to date her, and she wouldn't do it. Because and she ended up dating me, and the brother and the friend hated me because of that. But I'm thinking that is really weird that you want your best friend to date your sister, knowing that he's going to be having sex with your sister. Wouldn't you don't want to? Okay, I guess. I mean, I don't have sisters, so I don't know if that's like a weird thing or not. But
I mean, I guess brothers can be overprotective of their sisters, but in Paulie's case, But in Polly's defense, Polly's just you know, an alcoholic piece of garbage that, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe he was doing things to her. We don't know. That's not none of my business at that point.
Yeah,
She got with Rocky, so she's safe now.
yeah, and I did like how, you know, she started coming out of her shell and she's like, "Do you want a roommate?" And he's like, "Yeah." So that's the
Yeah.
one thing that I do like out of all of these. They never cheated. They never got divorced. They never cheated. They never did
Yeah.
anything. They were like 100%, you
Yeah.
know, together. And I dug
It's a
that.
power couple.
There you go. Back in the day. Yeah. What would their name be? Rocky, Adrian.
Rocco Adrian.
Rocco Adrian.
Rocco Adrian. I don't know. I mean, Paulie always calls him Rocco, so that's the only reason I came up with.
Yeah, I know. I think theirs would be not a nice sounding combo name. No, yeah.
I don't
So,
know. It is what it is.
and also, I don't think in any of these races ever brought up. Like, I know that that they mention boxers. You know, they mention, you know, the rumble in the jungle, and they mention these things, and I think it is kind of brought up that, like, Apollo's black and Rocky's white, but that could be part of the gimmick of, like, the boxing match.
Yeah.
You know, you know, like the son of Philadelphia type of thing, but it's never brought up in a, like, a racist way. It's just
Yeah.
brought up like, oh, we can merchandise this or sell this in this type of way. And I like to see that, even in that time period when you had a lot of movies where they did use stuff like the N-word and all that freely,
Yeah.
that was never brought up from beginning to end. It's never brought up. I think when I was watching, it might have been Creed 3 because I had the subtitles on. Somebody used the N-word with the A at the end, but that was like a group of the black guys. And I
Yeah.
think that was it.
Adonis Creed said it a couple times. And Creed 1.
Okay.
I think he said it in a couple of them.
So
It's the one with the A.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because that's that's their thing. That's what they're allowed to say. We're not allowed to say, but they're allowed to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's never like, yeah, it's just never, they're distinct in who they are. Well, I guess not distinct, since I thought Mickey was Irish, but you could definitely tell their personalities from their characters.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's different. If I say Polly, you know who Polly is.
Yeah.
If I say Mickey, you know who Mickey is. So it's done that well. And yeah, and of course they're religious, they're Catholic, because you've got the crucifixes and the pictures of Jesus and stuff like that. And I like how Rocky goes to the priest and yells at him from the, you know, outside the window, you know, just screaming at him to come out and do a blessing. I thought was funny.
Yeah. That was in 5. Was that in 1?
It's in the first
one as well.
He goes back in 5. He does it again.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen the first one.
Yeah, I think he's late for the Apollo match, but he drives up and God.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's
he asked the priest to bless him, to say a prayer and bless him before his match.
Okay. And then he speeds off, and that's when Mickey gives him crap for being late because he doesn't think he's taking it seriously. And do you like that idea of how they put the match together, that Apollo would fight just this totally unknown person to give them a chance, even though it's a gimmick? I think it worked, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, they explain, which makes it realistic, that hey, something happened to the opponent he was supposed to fight. I think he got sick or he got injured during another fight or something.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know if they actually mention it or not. And he's like, "Hey, I need something, you know, to make this to make up for it or something. And basically, they're just going through, and he just says the Italian stallion, and he's like, "Hey, there you go. That's
In a
business."
book. That's how they found him, in like that book. Like pre-internet. That was their version of the internet, was the book.
Yeah.
And Apollo's looking through it, and boom, that's it. That's the guy. That's, yeah, just because of the name alone, he knew it would sell
Yeah.
tickets.
And you know, the whole reason was it was just supposed to be like a show. It wasn't even supposed to be a real match. But Rocky took it as a real match.
Yeah, and he did his best, and Apollo was always considered to be the best. And
Yeah.
you know, and even though he lost, which is the way the film should end, he should not
Yeah.
win. He needed,
Yeah.
pardon me, he
Yeah, I
needed to
agree.
lose. Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, it he didn't lose by like a knockout or anything. He just lost by how do they say it? This final decision or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, like
I forget.
the three judges, and then there's
Yeah,
the
and
one, the
then you
two, and then the third one was the breaker.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
guess the first time, I guess the first one said Apollo Creed, second one said Rocky, and then add
Apollo.
the third one said Apollo, but you have to really listen because the whole time you're just hearing him going, "Adrian, where's your hat?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm trying to hear who won.
I wonder, I always wonder, like, what I saw is, why mention her hat? Like, I think the hat falling off was an accident, and she just continued to go, like, just some extra knocked it off, and she just continued. I don't even think we need for him to say, "Where's your hat?" It's just, it just got knocked off. I mean,
It was probably just something he improvised on the spot, probably.
yeah, like maybe he thought that we needed it. Well, and the director of this, of course, is the director of the Karate Kid, Karate Kid
Yeah.
2, and Karate Kid 3.
Okay.
So that was, and on that one, that's yeah, John G. Avildsen. And of course, in the Karate Kid, he wins. A little
Yeah.
different from Rocky.
Yeah, for sure.
So so in that one, it was just, yeah, we're gonna have you win instead of lose, because maybe they just didn't want to duplicate Rocky.
I mean, it makes sense for the sequel. I mean, the sequel he comes in and
Good
Apollo
segue.
Apollo challenges him, say, "Hey, I want a real match this time." Like he sees his potential, saying, "Hey, I can beat you. I can beat you for real this time."
Well, and now, so Rocky 2, because I guess a good segue, Rocky 2 was 1979, so a few years
79.
later.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate the portrayal of Rocky in this movie. I hate it. Rocky is so dumb. Like, before, he's more like punchy, like he's not stupid, but he's just kind of street smart, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really book smart.
Yeah.
And he can form a complete sentence. In Rocky 2, he's just an idiot. I mean, he is so dumb, and they play him as dumb. And I don't know why they decided to do that.
I mean, he did get like a bunch of money. He's like, "Hey, I can buy a house now. I can buy a car," even though he doesn't know how to drive. Which I don't understand how you can get a car without a license. But do you even have a license? We don't even know that, do we?
Yeah, and Stallone directed the second one, and it's I do like all of the commercial stuff. I always like seeing things like that in movies.
Mm-hmm.
But God, is he dumb? He is just dumb. Everything he does is dumb. And he constantly repeats himself. Adrian, a dragon on a jacket. Jacket on the dragon. Adrian, look, it's a dragon. And I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Why are you repeating yourself so much? Because he wasn't this dumb in 2. I mean, sorry, in part 1, and he's not that, and he's much smarter in 3. So it's like, I don't know why they decided to play him so dumb in the same way that they did with Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid 3. All of a sudden, he's an idiot.
Here's my theory.
Same director too.
The constant beating, that he got damaged his brain. It started the brain damage from 5.
Maybe, I guess.
It's just a theory.
I mean, that's the only thing. That's what I actually thought it was the same thing, is that maybe he's been hit in the head so many times, especially by Apollo, that he just went stupid, like really stupid. And
I mean, he was street smart, but when it came to, actually being smart with the money that he got, he really wasn't,
oh my God, he was basically like MC Hammer and Will Smith and stuff. I mean, they just blew it all on just garbage. Well, and the interesting thing is that in the first movie, Rocky is actually doing okay as like the thug, to get the money for the for Joe Spinell, who I introduced you to, the great and legendary, rest in peace, Joe Spinell. And if you notice, you saw him pop up in the other ones basically until he died. He was in all of them, but for the loan shark, he was actually doing okay with like the boxing and then the money that he would get from Joe. And Paulie was the one who was really down on his luck, saying, "Can you introduce me to Groucho," or whatever his name is, Greedo?
Yeah.
And I'll just say loan shark. And Rocky wouldn't do it because of his anger issues and stuff. Yeah. And Paulie held that against him. So it's like, I introduced you to my sister and all this stuff, and you still won't even introduce me to the loan shark. And but in Rocky 2, it flips. So there's a scene where Paulie is in like a nice hat, the big jacket, and he's down at the dock. And it looks like he's getting money from some people. And Rocky's now so broke that he has to sell him his car. And then Rocky's like, "Can I get a job being a loan shark collector again?" And Paulie's like, So Paulie doesn't even help him. And Paulie just takes his car. So now they're really down on their luck with stuff. And Paulie's the dick. So that kind of tells you how petty Paulie is.
Pretty much.
Did you like that this was a rematch between Rocky and Apollo?
I like the rematch. I for years I kept getting it mixed up. I kept getting 2 and 3 mixed up. I kept thinking that Mr. T was the second one, and 3 was the rematch with Apollo Creed. But I had a friend at work that kept picking him. He's like, "Mr. T, Rocky fought Mr. T in Rocky 2. It's like, shut up, dude. I made a fucking mistake. Shut up.
That's what friends will do. They'll let you forget your mistakes.
The jerks. They're jerks, man.
Well, I liked with Rocky that they said at the end, both of them said no rematch. Over and over and over again. And of course, in Rocky 2, we got the rematch.
Yeah.
So I guess if Rocky didn't do well, okay, but since Rocky did well, we got to do the rematch.
I mean, at the beginning, he kept saying, "Hey, Apollo's like, I want a rematch," and then Rocky's like, "I'm not interested," and then he goes off and has his life with Adrian. Gets married and has a kid and all that, and then all of a sudden, I guess when he's finally down on his luck, he needs the money. Go actually take the champ up on his offer. Let's see if I can take the championship away.
So a friend of mine pointed this out to me a long time ago, and I laughed when it came up. So in the first Rocky, Joe Spinell's driver, when Rocky's going to take Adrian out on a date, goes, "You should take her to the zoo." Rocky goes, "Why?" And he goes, these are his words, so don't get mad at me, people, "Because she's a retard. And retards love the zoo." And he gets mad and tries to grab him in the car and stuff.
Yeah.
Where does Rocky take Adrian on in part 2?
To the zoo.
Why would he take her to the zoo? Dude, you wrote the first movie. You're now writing and directing the second movie, and you take your girlfriend, wife to the zoo where this guy just told you that's where retards go? Why? Why would you do that?
I never thought about that until now.
He could have gone anywhere he wanted. Rocky was a
Wow.
massive hit, best movie of the year, all that stuff. He could have just gone to a park.
I
Why?
mean, to be
Why
quite
go to a
honest with
zoo?
you, I don't. Maybe Sylvester wasn't thinking about that at the point. He's like, "Hey, listen, I didn't think that, maybe he didn't think that part through. I don't know."
Yeah, it's, and I wrote down a couple other things here. So, what did I write down? So I wrote down, in the first Rocky does not want to give Paulie, oh, my light went up, did not want to give Paulie the loan shark job. Rocky
Yeah.
is offended that the loan shark driver told him to take Adrian to the zoo because that's where they take retards. But in Rocky 2, Rocky says that he will talk to the loan shark and give Paulie a job. So if he's not willing to give Paulie a job in the first film, why is he giving Paulie the job in the second film? What changed?
I don't know. Maybe when Sylvester Stallone finally comes out with a director's cut of 2 and 3, we'll find out.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of I mean, he's like contradicting himself. Like, now it's okay for Paulie to work? I don't
I
get
mean,
it.
I think what it is that he was just so surprised. He was just trying to make this film work because he was trying to prove that, hey, I even though I screwed up with my first directed movie, uh, Paradise Alley or whatever it's called, let me prove to you that this. And he just like, let's just make a movie that, and didn't put the, just forgot that little part there.
I
He was just so
guess.
focused on making it better, making it bigger, making the stakes higher. I guess
Okay. So,
that's the only thing I can think of.
all right. So now Rocky 3, Rocky 2's a hit. Rocky 3 comes out. Stallone, and they even make a joke about this in Rocky 3, which I think is funny. Paulie does, that he got his face redone. Because he did. He got plastic surgery in between the two movies.
Okay.
So I like that that's even brought up. And now he's got like the mansion, um, the kid, Paulie's still a dick. Mickey is still there for the time being. And then we get now Rocky is smart again. So now he's smarter than he was even in the first film, because now we see him doing commercials and it's a montage with a song, but he's doing all the dialogue.
Yeah.
He's not messing up like he did before. So did he become smart, dumb, and then even smarter?
The way I look at it, he went from street smart but not too smart to, let's let's be real here. When you first got money, what did you do? When you got your very
You
first
would spend
paycheck?
it recklessly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he did. Hey, I finally have money to do what I want. Oh, let's go buy that new car. Let's go buy that house. Let's go buy this nice clothes. Let's go do this. Let's go do stuff that I couldn't do before. And I'll be honest. When I first got paid, I was like, oh yeah, oh I can buy that video game system I always wanted. I can go buy this, and then for like a year, like a first couple months of my life, when I first started working, my paychecks were blown in the first day.
Right.
Now, and as you start going, okay, you just put money aside and you start saving the money. You need to do this, you need to do that, invest, whatever you got to do. But basically how I look at it. Okay, Rocky 2 is him being the reckless spender and screwing himself up and having to go back to fight Apollo Creed to make more money. And then Rocky 3 is him, being smart about it, actually
more business smart.
More, yeah.
Because he's stupid with money twice, right? Is it 1 and 2 where he's stupid with money? Like 1, he spends too much money, and then 2, he spends way too much money to the point where he's broke. Isn't it twice?
I don't remember him even having hardly any money in 1. I think 1 he was just like barely scraping by to pay rent.
Because 3, because he does the fight with Hulk Hogan, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That and that's where he gets his statue.
Thunderlips.
Yes. That's such a great name. I have a picture of myself with that statue.
Nice.
I went to go visit a friend, and we're both Rocky fans, so we went to there. It's when, later on in the movies, it's not on top of the steps, but it's down, and you see all those people taking pictures of it. That's where I took mine, was in that area, because they moved it. The thing was, why are we celebrating a character that's not real? And so they didn't like the statue being up there anymore, so they moved it down to the grass area. So, which is kind of messed up. But 3, so he fights Hulk Hogan for a
charity,
just a charity thing, which is really funny, with the Polaroid and them throwing each other. I love that scene. And then, of course, we have Clubber Lang, who's one of the most known. Wish they would bring him back. But Mr. T would have to buff the fuck up. He is so thin now. I don't think he could. But it would still be kind of fun to have him back. But why does he fight Clubber Lang? Is that where he's broke again?
No, he's not. He's not broke until 5. 5's when he loses the money again.
Yeah, because that wasn't his fault. That was fucking Paulie.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's twice where he's broke because of reckless spending. And I went, why would you do it twice when you knew what happened the first time?
I don't remember the second time. I know in part 2. Maybe.
Does he go broke twice in part 2?
Maybe. It's been a while since I've seen 2. Like I said, I was more trying to, when I was rewatching some of these movies, I was trying to focus on the ones I haven't seen yet. So 1, 2, and 3 I've seen so many times, but maybe I should have did a refresher before. But
so why did he fight in part 3?
I think it was more of a pride thing, because
I mean, Clubber was insulting Adrian. He had won. He'd gone all the way up. He beat everybody. Like Rocky would be
the next one in line. And he's like, I'm retiring. He goes, you ain't a man. Hey, honey, come here. I'll show you what a real man can do.
Yeah, why don't you come by my apartment tonight, and I'll show you what a real man can do. He was freaking huge. He was huge.
Dude, I think this is what got him into the A-Team.
Yeah, it was. Because all of his lines from this movie were probably his, because he used them all in the A-Team. He said, I'm going to pity the fool. He said all of his lines from A-Team in Rocky 3.
Pretty much.
So maybe he thought of those. Like that was his thing. But yeah, I like that Paulie brings up to him that he's now like softer, because he's not boxing anymore, or he's just doing these. Oh no, Mickey is just doing the easy fights.
Yeah.
And Rocky's like, what? He's like, yeah, well, they're fights. I mean, they're still with good people, but you could win. Yeah. That's why he fights him. Because Mickey tells him that the fights, even though they're real, they're easy. And it's just to keep his
title.
Yeah, that's why he does it.
And then I think what pushes him over, because I think Rocky was just going to let it go, and then when he insults his wife and mocks him right in front of everybody, he's like, well, you know what? Fine, we'll do it. And I think pride kind of took over there, which,
Yeah,
you know,
and he
hey,
was telling the truth. He's like, and why don't you tell these people the truth? And that's when he brings up the boxers, and I think that's when he
yeah,
confronts Mickey afterwards with that. And then
yeah.
Mickey has his heart attack, his first heart attack.
That's because Clubber Lang pushed
Yeah,
him or
pushed
something.
him. That right there should have disqualified him. There were a lot of people
Yeah,
there that saw that. I don't know how he got away with that. I mean, that's assault, that's disqualification.
I guess because it didn't happen in the ring or something. I mean, still, it should have been. I agree with you, but I mean, if it
what
would
is
have
it?
just
But one of the Creed films is the first one.
yeah,
The guy
the
hits
second
the other guy in the
second one.
mouth during the promo.
Oh,
No, I think it's the first. It's the British guy is fighting like whoever like the champion is. They get into the fight
the
in the
British guy
UK.
was the British guy was the champion.
So then
He
okay,
was
so then
supposed to fight him, but he couldn't. He got all angry and stuff, and then
punched him,
smacked
broke
him, and
his
then that's
jaw.
how Adonis got
Yeah.
taken up with him.
So that wasn't even in there, but I think but yeah, but there was still no disqualification.
No, there was no disqualification.
Fox, I guess you could just punch anybody you want as long as it's not in the
Pretty much,
ring.
as long as it's not in the ring.
Okay, okay.
So still doesn't make Clubber Lang any cooler though. Still a jerk for killing Mickey.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
So
that Mickey, you could tell that just nothing was going to go his direction, especially with how Rocky really wasn't taking it seriously. How he kind of like set up that whole event, and they were
mm-hmm.
selling like pillows and all that type of stuff, coffee mugs, and that's another thing is I don't understand why Paulie never continued with this because he'd make a lot of money. Is he asked twice, Rocky, can I sell stuff with your name on it? And Rocky said yes. So why wouldn't you continue to sell stuff with Rocky's name on it? Why are you always broke, dude? Just keep. He could probably make good money and hire a team and
I
like
mean,
not even do anything.
you got a wealth that is constantly overflowing at this point. You got Rocky's name. Just make a bunch of mugs, make a bunch of T-shirts. Here, Rocky
Yeah,
Baba.
yeah. He says that he goes outside. He goes, Rock. I think I figured out a way that I could make money off your name. And he goes, yeah, if you could do it, do it. He could. Where's all that money? Unless he just drank
I
it,
don't think probably
you know. So wow, okay. And what did you think of the fight with Clubber Lang? What did you think about that?
with Couple on the first time.
Oh, that's right. He loses.
Yeah, he loses the first time. And he
See,
loses the title.
I get these films confused now because they follow a pattern.
Yeah.
That's the pattern. If you
Mm-hmm.
notice through these is that the champ has to lose and then get the title back. So yeah, because that's when he does the not serious working out, and then he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And
Well, technically, he was. This is right before, right when after Clubber Lang pushes Mickey, he's worried about Mickey's condition,
his mind is not
and
there.
his mind is not focused on the fight at that point.
That's right.
And Clubber just destroys him at that point and takes his
Yeah,
title away.
yeah.
And then when he leaves, he goes back to Mickey, and Mickey tells him like, "Hey, like keep going, don't stop." Basically, trying to encourage him. Hey, I'm going, but don't don't give up. And he passed away.
Right. Burgess Meredith, what a great job he did. I mean, the Penguin
Yeah,
on
he did a great
Batman,
job.
and and then
He
he
did a
got
great
Mickey.
job.
Yeah, and it's part 3 where Adrian goes into the coma, right? Does she have the kid in 3 or
Two,
2? Is it 2?
two. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then they have the hairiest baby ever. It has like a full set of hair. It's like, yeah, that's an Italian baby. That's right. Because two, the baby is a baby. Three,
He's
it's that kid that doesn't look anything like them. It looks like he should be in a Home Alone movie. And then it
probably.
wasn't until 5 where it was his actual son,
Yeah.
Sage. But
Yeah.
the kid in 3, I'm looking at this kid going, man, this kid does not look like either one of them. What is
I
going
guess
on with these kids?
they had to find a kid to play the part, man. And they just
They
had
had
to
a
come
kid
up
that
with
looks
someone on
Italian.
and
Kid
black
looked all,
hair.
he looked all waspy. I mean, it's just like this kid looked like he was maybe like a neighbor, and they just took the neighbor's kid in or adopted.
Yo, Adrian, I stole the neighbor's kid for the set.
I found this kid. He was just walking around outside. I took him. I took him in because you got to repeat yourself. I found this kid. I found this kid outside. Adrian is this kid. Got to just repeat yourself endlessly. So, and then
Yo, Adrian, yo, Adrian, yo,
yo,
found this kid.
where's your hat? Your hat.
He's a son now. Yeah, he's a son. Yeah.
Yeah, this is our new son. Fucking. And then I think that they're well written. I mean, I think they're fine for what they are. I mean, they're no Citizen Kane, type of thing, but they're for for a sports movie, for boxing movies, they're fine because he seems to know what he's talking about and doing.
Yeah.
So it's I did find it funny that when Stallone did The Contender, that TV show, that it's like, why wouldn't they just get like a real boxer? Because he's not a real boxer. So he's going up to the boxers, like the real guys, and telling them what to do. But it's like, you're an actor. But I guess he had done it so many times, and a lot of the scenes were real, that some of the punches were fake, but then some of them were actually bruises. So I guess that was okay.
I think 6 was the only one he actually did it for real.
I know they're in part 4. They do
talk part 4. There was a couple of shots.
Dolph hits him straight in the chest, and like his heart hit his back, and he had to go to the hospital. And I guess
ICU for like 4 days or something.
Yeah, and I knew this for a long time, and since you watched that same documentary I did, you now know it. But I don't think a lot of people realize that Dolph Lundgren is a genius.
Yeah,
he has like degrees and diplomas, and he's an incredibly smart guy. When I think, well, probably a lot of people, since he played Drago, probably thinks he's an idiot. He's like a big dumb guy when he's not. And I've always liked that about him.
The only reason I knew about that was because I watched an interview with Dolph Lundgren, and he said that he had like a master's degree and like a bachelor's degree, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, you gotta be smart for that stuff, man. I got a high school education. I'm lucky I got that.
Yeah, I barely squeaked through myself because it's interesting.
Skin of my teeth.
Well, let's finish with part 3. And then so he loses the fight. Then he trains seriously. This is after that's when Apollo walks in.
Apollo becomes his trainer.
Yeah,
so basically enemies to friends. That trope that everybody seems to hate in movies, but you know what? I freaking love it. Deal with it.
Oh, it was. I think it's great that they teamed up together. It seemed the natural way to go. And then he trains Rocky, who isn't into it because of Mickey. That's when they go to LA. Paulie's racist again. And then how Paulie doesn't get his ass shot. And who the fuck is Paulie? He's just this. Only in part 2 is he look like he actually lost weight. In all the other films, he looks really fat. So it's like, dude, who are you?
Seems like he's getting throughout the entire series.
Well, I think probably part 1 he probably made a lot of money. He lost weight for the second film because he's like, oh, this is now I'm going to be in part 2. So then he got thin, and then he's like, screw it, I'm now in part 3. I'm just going to eat really well because I just got my check. and then he's, you know, and started having those really good steak dinners, because then all of a sudden he bulked back up again, but not in a good way. And that's when he's still mad about Rocky not giving him a job. And Rocky's just like, well, why don't you just ask? And I think that's when he becomes part of the team.
Yeah.
And Rocky can't perform. Poor Rocky. Yeah. And he's very sad. And Apollo's trying. But I guess it's not until he has the talk with Adrian.
Adrian really sets him straight.
What's funny,
like,
the funny thing with Adrian at the beginning of Rocky, he goes to, like, he has those spells. I think I'm getting my film correct. And she goes, you need to go to the doctor. And he's like, I don't want to go to the doctor. And she goes, you got to go to the doctor. And she goes, look, if you go to the doctor, I will support whatever decision you make. So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, yeah, basically your brain is messed up. You can't fight again. That was that five?
That was part 5.
Okay, we'll come back to that, because this makes me laugh. So, well, I'll finish it off. So, okay, so it's part 5, and then he and then she goes, you can't fight. She doesn't support him at all. I'll support whatever you do as long as you go to the doctor. I want to fight. You're going to be killed. God, these movies blend into each other. So then they train, they get into the ring. Of course, Clubber Lang talks shit to Apollo. Apollo says kick his ass. And he does. No, it's not. It's not. When did I say the kid who looks like he should be in Home Alone? That's part 4, I think. Is when he has the kid that looks like that. What does the kid look like in part 3?
I think he's just like a 3-year-old or something, 3 or 4 years old.
Like a little kid. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it's part 4.
So it's probably 4.
When he has the kid that doesn't look like them. Yeah, part 3, yeah, it's an older kid that does look like it, because he's got the really dark hair.
Okay.
And he looks more.
See, that's the part I'm not remembering.
Yeah, and he does looks a little bit more. So then he, of course, kicks Clubber Lang's ass. You know, he gets that. That part 3 is Eye of the Tiger, right? Or is that part 4?
Yes, that's part 3.
Part 3.
That's where Eye of the Tiger really kicks off.
Yeah, because Apollo keeps telling him, Eye of the Tiger.
I know. How many freaking times do we have to hear the phrase "Eye of the Tiger"? Come on, Paul. How many times do we not hear it? At least once more.
Big song by Survivor. Very big song.
Yes, it was.
And then, so he kicks Clubber Lang's ass. Everything is good. And then they go to the gym, Apollo and Rocky, just to spar, just to have fun. And it ends with the 2 fists and the famous painting.
Yeah.
And I think it's in the documentary for Rocky vs. Drago.
Yeah.
Where the camera guy asks him who won. And he said that it's a tie, that they hit each other, they fall to the ground, they pull each other up, and they say it's a tie. So all of these years we've been asking that question, and it's a tie.
What he said it was supposed to pick up, because he found the original script, and he was showing what it was supposed to do. The film starts off right after Rocky 3 during that fight, and they actually showed you the result, which never got filmed because for reasons that our boy takes us to.
I think I love that ending with just a still of the fists. I think is great. I don't want that other stuff. And I always figured that the reason why they couldn't really beat each other is because they're equal. They're the same.
Pretty much.
They're the same level, but they have different skills.
Yeah.
So it's just like they would never just beat one. It just wouldn't happen. So I like that they don't really comment on it. I think they do later on. I think it's when Creed
Mm-hmm.
is he brings it up. So I like how that ends, and then part 4 begins where 3 ends. And I love 4. I probably saw it like 3 or 4 times in the theater. That was during the whole Russian thing with like a Red Dawn and Invasion USA, and we were very anti-Russian at that time.
Yeah.
Even in like Firestarter, the Stephen King movie, when the shop comes after Charlie and she's with that older couple and the old guy's holding the gun, and he says, you know, like, yeah, like, you're not taking her unless I woke up in Russia this morning. So everything was very anti-Russian at that time. So
yeah.
So for us, you know, for if you could see it at that time, it was kind of a big deal. And we already knew Rocky won because it's on the poster. He's just holding the American flag with blood all coming down. And it's like, oh, okay, he won. All right, we don't even have to see the movie now.
Spoilers.
Yeah, major spoilers on the friggin' poster. And the only picture on that poster. But that one's like a music video, like an MTV music video. We even knew that back then.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I hated the robot. I don't mind the robot now.
The robot is the Jar Jar Binks of Rocky.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I was waiting for it. But the robot like sexes Polly because he turns the voice into like a sexy female voice.
Oh God.
And so now I like the robot because it's of its time. And it's once again that just Rocky has no idea how to spend money. Oh, look, Polly, what I bought you. I bought you this sharper image robot that serves no purpose at all, except to just, I guess, keep him company. And he's even creeped out by it. And it's got that kind of electronic 80s music when it first
Happy
appears.
birthday, Polly.
Yeah. What the fuck is this? And I don't think he says fuck because it's PG, but yeah, what the hell is this? And yeah, that's with the kid that doesn't look like Stallone's kid at all. Yeah. And I don't mind all the robot stuff. I really don't anymore. I don't.
I didn't mind it.
I guess just when it first came out and you're, you know, it's on television, you're watching like the Rocky movies because Rocky 4 is coming out, and then you see a robot in Rocky 4 after you just saw Rocky 3. Like, what? What is this?
Like, is this supposed to be a comedy now?
Yeah, why is this in here? Is this Star Wars? And then of course Apollo is feeling a little out of it, you know, like my theory is Apollo wanted to die, and he knew he was going to die, and he wanted to die in the ring.
Well, if you think about it, there was a time when him and Dolph Lundgren had a little confrontation at one point, where I guess he threw him up against the box and he started cursing him out and saying, "Listen, I want off this. I'm calling my agent. I want out of here." So maybe that may have played into why Sylvester decided to kill Apollo off, because he wanted off the set anyway. Even though him and Lundgren did, you know, apologize to each other and continued to fight like 4 days later or something.
I think he always intended to kill Apollo because you need loss. You're on the fourth film. Nobody's died. I mean,
Mickey
died.
Okay,
Mickey, and Spider, who dies later. Spider was at the first fight of the very first movie, then dies later on. But I think you need loss. So then he doesn't have Mickey. He doesn't have Apollo. But if you look at some of the stuff that Apollo does and says, the looks that he gives, like his wife when he's about to go into the ring, I I tend to think I'm on the side of that. Also, one of the reasons why he said don't stop the fight is that he knew that he was going to die. And he wanted to die in the ring.
Okay.
I really think that.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, he said he went because well, do you want to talk about the director's cut, or do you want to wait till later for the director's cut?
We could do, yeah, sure. Why not? We could just do both of them right now. Sure. And then we could go
Okay.
into,
All right. Well,
Rocky
in
Balboa.
the director's cut, if you remember at the funeral scene, his manager starts telling like he died a warrior. He had the whole warrior speech, and so basically, even he was like, "Hey, he wanted to die a warrior. He knew the way of the warrior. That's how Apollo wanted to go out. So let's respect his decision."
I'm going to be honest. I thought the director's cut sucked.
Really?
Yeah, and that guy that you sent me the video for, I had already watched his Rocky stuff because I've been watching him for a while, and he prefers the Rocky versus Balboa over the original. I don't. I think that it feels like a fan film. I don't think it's well put together. There's the scene where Rocky is at Apollo's funeral when he's giving the speech.
Mm-hmm.
The wide shot, somebody is blurred. And it's almost like they didn't have permission to use that person because Duke was first and then Rocky instead of the theatrical version where it's just Rocky. And there's somebody blurred. And I thought that was
I didn't notice that.
Amateurish. Yeah, I went back and I watched it a couple times.
Okay.
And
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I just didn't. I hated what they did with Drago. Why would you humanize Drago? This guy is a machine. He's just, that's all he is a machine. And then at the very end, when Stallone, when Rocky hits him and he gets that one cut, that changes everything. He's not a machine anymore. He's now a human. But when you make him during like the press interview get interrupted by like Brigitte Nielsen and he tries to talk and he can't, and when he does it's and then the added stuff in the in the ring when Apollo's down, him just saying if he dies he dies, I think is all that needed to be said. We didn't need Drago. I am Drago. We didn't need any of that. I think Stallone is 100% wrong on this director's cut. Wrong.
Okay.
Your thoughts, please.
I actually enjoyed the director's cut. My biggest problem is I wish we would have gotten a little bit more. Like, I wish there were some parts that he cut out, and I'm not even talking about the robot at this point. I'm talking like he cut out like the Russian girl, the Drago's wife, which I guess was his ex-wife at one point.
His ex-wife, who, according to his mother, was a user and abuser, and that's what she ended up being. So he divorced her, and any scene that she didn't have to be in, he edited out. So that was completely done out of spite.
So pretty much that's the only problem I had with it. I enjoyed it, but I like both cuts. I mean, we have both cuts to watch. So what I would have loved to have seen, because when we were hearing him talk about it, there was supposed to be 40 extra minutes of scenes we didn't see. I thought maybe that he was going to go in, take the original Rocky 4 and add all those scenes in.
Oh no.
To the already and he said he's going to remove the robot. I'm like, okay, remove the robot, whatever. But keep some of those scenes in there. And
and I have no problem with him doing it. It's an interesting experiment, and I'm glad that he did, as long as both versions exist. But it's how much stuff did he shoot? Because you have the scene of of Apollo in the original talking to like Adrian and Polly at the table about fighting Drago, but then he has the same scene in the backyard on the lawn where the same dialogue is said, but it's just Rocky and Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this a few times with stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well,
so you did
also...
that scene like 2 or 3 times in just different locations?
Possibly. And on top of that, I did like how they kind of made it that it's explained. The thing, here's what I liked about the director's cut. I like that they explain more why Apollo wants to fight him. Before it was just like, I just want to fight him. I just want to fight him. It's not really explained that well. Like, the scene of him in the pool seeing that, oh, he's undefeated. He's like, no, that's not right. I'm going to prove it. He has something to prove. You know what I mean? So I like that.
I mean, that's good.
Like I said, I wish he would have just made it. When I hear director's cut, I'm thinking my idea of a director's cut is the entire film with the deleted scenes that you didn't add in, added all in. So it made it from the 91 minutes or whatever it was to the 2 hours and 10 minutes, which would have been what the director's cut should have been. Or maybe an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 52 minutes if you took out all the scenes with the robot.
I like to think of that too, but sometimes it just isn't. Yeah. Sometimes the director's cut is shorter.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they don't add in those scenes. And I just I liked at the very end of the director's cut when Stallone is giving his big speech about how we all could change, which he only gave because he won. I mean, if he didn't win, there's no point for the speech, but okay. So in the theatrical one, the Gorbachev guy stands up and starts clapping, and then everybody around him starts clapping. I like in the director's cut that while the speech is going on, that guy just looks at the guy next to him, who's the one that was working with Dolph.
Yeah.
And then just gets up and leaves.
Which makes Creed 2 make a lot more sense.
Yes, I like that much better. I think I just think Creed 2 makes Rocky 5 in general better, but it makes a lot more sense because that's the type of stuff that like Mussolini and Hitler did. It is like during Olympics, and if his guys weren't winning, he would just get up and leave. He wouldn't be like, oh, look, that black guy won the Olympics, I'm going to stand up and clap. No, instead he would just get up and walk away.
Yeah.
And so to me, that made more sense.
I mean, these are Russian dictators. I mean, they're not gonna say, "Hey, the American won, hooray!"
Yeah, I can change now, and now all my people are okay. I didn't like when the fight was done, Stallone or Rocky goes over to Drago and does some weird, because I guess they didn't have coverage of it, like some weird, handshake or good fight or something to him. And then he walks past him off the ring and kind of like down the hall. And that's where it stops, is like on their backs.
Here's my theory of that. I think that was like after the shooting was done, the camera just kept going. And
that's what it seemed like, is just the camera was following Stallone going over to Dolph, not the characters. And then they just walked off set.
It's just like after it's all said and done, and he's just like, hey, let's just incorporate that into the movie. Why not?
Yeah. I liked it with him being held up and he's holding the flag, very American, very, of that time period. Because that was, I want to say like 94. So Rocky 3 is, so Rocky is 1976,
85.
Rocky 2 is 1979, 3 is 82, and then 4 is 85. Yeah. So that would be, yeah, around that time, like 84,
Right.
all that was all that
That was
anti.
right around the time the Cold War was kind of ending, right?
Yeah,
With the Cold War.
I would have to look that up, but I mean, I know it's in the 80s.
I know in the
So
80s, so it would have been right around that time.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
Ish.
because it was very pro-American, anti-Russian around that time, especially with Rocky, which is why I think it made so much money.
Yeah.
So and so I like, I don't know, I prefer the theatrical cut
Okay.
over this director's cut. I think it's interesting, but it
Yeah.
should never be the official. You
At
know, it
least, at least at least Sylvester Stallone is not pulling a George Lucas, and you can only have this cut. You can't have the older cut.
right, you get
At
all of
least
them.
he's still giving us like, hey, here's a theatrical cut that you guys grew up with watching. Here's a new cut. You can pick which one you want to watch.
And plus Rocky 5 has that great soundtrack to it. You know, it's the same as like Top Gun and all this type of stuff. You
I
know,
mean,
it
Hearts
was
on Fire is awesome.
yeah, I mean, kind of took over the place of Eye of the Tiger. So
Which I the only downside I will say about the director's cut is, did we really need Eye of the Tiger again? We had Eye of the we had Eye of the Tiger in Rocky 3. I don't think we needed Eye of the Tiger playing at the very end there. I mean, I like the song, don't get me wrong. But then again, I think I understand why. I mean, come on. They played Hearts on Fire during the one of the montage scenes. They didn't end the movie with Hearts on Fire again. I guess they didn't want to repeat.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, yeah. The some stuff I was really watching it because I watched Rocky 4, then I went straight into the director's cut. Some of the stuff that he cut that was small was weird. Like he tried to make the Russians better. So if you notice, like a lot of the stuff from the press conference is gone with the Russians. And it's not just his wife. And then when they get to Russia, Canada, they when like I think it's Duke is playing chess with one of the guys, one of the Russian guys, and he checkmates, and then Rocky calls Duke over. In the theatrical one, you see Duke walk away, and the Russian knocks over all the pieces. It's just at like hand level.
Yeah.
In the director's cut, that never happens. He never knocks over the pieces. Duke gets up
Well,
and you see this hand slightly come into frame and then it cuts. And it's like, are you trying to make the Russians better? Like at the time they weren't better. I mean, I don't even think the guy
no.
was technically upset that he won or that he lost. I mean, the chess match, he was just knocking over the pieces because he didn't fling them on the floor. He just pushed them over.
Yeah.
So it was little things like that that I noticed that he cut.
Okay.
And it's like,
I mean,
why?
I think maybe for the director's cut, he's just like, okay, this is the version. Like, I think he didn't want to make the Russians look like complete jerks at this point. I mean, yes, at that time during that film, you know, we were either in the middle of the Cold War or we were just ending the Cold War. Um, but then again, did it seem did it seem to me that they tried to make Apollo seem a little more of a jerk? If you know what I mean? Like like when when the fight first starts and you see all the scenes
Oh, by
of
the Cold
Drago
War
coming.
ended in 91.
Oh, okay.
So it's all the 80s.
So this was still
Yeah.
during the Cold War then. Okay, that makes sense. So um I don't know. I mean, I feel like that he was trying to make it that okay during the Americans, like everyone would be booing him at that point, and then when he gets to
It is
Russia,
longer.
everyone would. What's that?
The stuff with Drago and Apollo is longer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a longer fight. I do like I like that Apollo just isn't slaughtered. Apollo at least tries to fight back, so it's a little. It doesn't feel like Apollo just died to die. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I still think that he wanted to die in the ring. What I
Oh
didn't like
yeah,
with that
but
was it was Drago doing little faces and hand gestures to Apollo. You
I
remember
missed that.
those? He's dancing around the ring with Apollo, and he's going like ooh, and he's doing kind of like this to Apollo, like he's teasing Apollo, and you could hear one of the announcers go something like Drago's trying to tease Apollo. I'm like, why would Drago do this? Why would he try to and like antagonize him or make fun of him? He's a machine. He's not supposed
Yeah,
to do that. That makes him
I mean,
human.
technically he's not. Technically, he's not really a machine. I mean, he was human, just being trained like a machine.
But yeah, that's what they say when Rocky's boxing. They're saying like, see, he's not a machine. He's a human. He's a man. You got him. He's bleeding because that's how they
Mm-hmm.
looked at him was a machine.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like any of that stuff. So, but I mean, I'm glad that Rocky's height too has always kind of bothered me because I stood next to Stallone. I was at a screening. I worked it as an usher for Assassins, and he was there. I'm 5'8". He was shorter than me.
Okay.
So probably not by much, maybe like a 5'6" or something. But he both him and Creed seem to fight guys that are like this tall. And I don't even know if that's allowed. Like, aren't you supposed to be
Probably
around the
not.
same height and the same weight?
I think I'm not sure. I mean, again, it's film.
Right. Because I think they say like
It's
Drago is like 6'2".
mm, he's pretty big. But then again, when you look at him like in the ring with Sylvester Stallone while you're watching it, they kind of seem a little too. He doesn't seem as tall or big as he was in earlier in the film. I don't know.
Yeah, it might just be where the camera is because I know he is tall. So
I
that's
know
one
he's
reason why
tall,
they got him.
but
So
I don't remember. Maybe
his
I'm just remembering it from the original cut that he was like bigger and beefier. But then I've seen
yes,
him now. He's kind of like he's not as beefy as I remember him.
well he is now he's old, but it's
Well, now
he's got
not.
old
But
man syndrome where he's like 4 foot tall. So it's and Stallone in the documentary does tell how he got the part. I heard that he got it from that he was on A View to a Kill, and that's how he got. He was like the bodyguard on to the main villain, Christopher Walken, and
mhm.
that they saw him in that, and the role was kind of written for him, which is, I guess, kind of what Stallone says that it was rewritten for him once they said that's the guy. They
Yeah,
rewrote it.
from
So and they're
from
still
what I
friends. They're friends to this day.
yeah from what I understand, Sylvester was looking for someone like someone menacing, and the guy's like, "Hey, I know somebody." He went home, got a picture of him, brought him to Stallone. Stallone looked at it and said, "Yeah, this is the guy." And then that's when we wrote the scenes.
Yeah, because you can't just have another guy look like Clubber Lang. I mean, just that you have to have him somehow bigger.
Yeah.
He can be wide, but he has to be bigger and blonde, and he has blue. He has to be all Aryan looking.
Hmm.
You can't just duplicate what you did before. So,
Yeah.
and then he wins, and then we might as well move into part 5, and God, this video is going to go on forever. We're
Oh
almost two
boy.
hours into it, and now we're just hitting part 5.
Well, this is our special episode. You're
Yeah.
welcome, everybody.
And then part 5 was 1990, so it was made
Yeah.
5 years later. And I like the beginning. I like how he was all shaky. Like it takes place right afterwards, that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And then then we find out, yeah, that you know what they never really brought back the Southpaw thing. That was kind of dumped. And
Yeah.
then his eye. When they said that he had to watch his eye because he could go blind, that was
Yeah.
left off. So that was never brought up again. And then this one, yeah, it's more kind of brain damage.
Yeah.
And then that's where Adrian says, "I'll support you," and then she doesn't support him. His son is in the movie stage, who sadly
Yeah.
died of cancer.
That was heart. That was a heart attack.
Was it a heart attack?
That was a heart attack. I'm not.
I know we
I'll
should
look it up. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So I'm looking it up myself here. Sage. Born in 76, died in 2012. Resting. Okay, death. Okay, so he was found dead in 2012 at his home. According to reports, he had not been heard of for days. An autopsy revealed that he died of coronary artery disease,
which is like a
the funeral and held in,
or basically a heart disease where involves a reduction of blood flow to the heart muscle due to buildup of plaque in the arteries. Ooh.
Okay, so that was unfortunate because he also had a company with Quentin Tarantino, that Grindhouse Releasing. So that was what he said. So he kind of got out of acting to basically preserve movies, which I respect that for. And
Yeah.
but he's fine in the movie. He's okay in part 4. I mean part 5.
Yeah, I mean he has some cringing lines, but
yeah.
Then again,
I don't think
it was his first. I think it was one of his first acting roles, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
and then
I can cut him slack for that.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I hate the most about part 5. Paulie losing all the money. So
Yep.
why couldn't they? So at the end of Rocky 4, Paulie kind of redeems himself. They're walking down that corridor. He stops Rocky and starts crying and says, "If I can unzip myself and walk out, the one person I would want to be is you. I love you." He gives this speech where he's crying, and then he kisses Rocky on the cheek, and Rocky likes that. He's like, "Thanks." And then, they continue.
And then when he gets in the ring, he said, "Remember how I said I want to be you? Never mind."
Yeah, right. When he sees Drago, and which is a great line. So why have him do this? Why can't it just be all of them are in Russia? Their agent or accountant steals all their money and splits. He used this advantage to steal from them and never be seen again.
Or why couldn't they have it set up where, so the IRS came after them, and Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he's not smart enough to know about paying taxes and all that. All right, all these back taxes, and they came and.
But that would be accounting.
So there you go.
I mean, they could come after him and say, "You haven't paid 10 years in taxes," and then and then he's like, "Well, wait a minute, but that's my accountant." "Well, we can't find your accountant."
There you go.
All your money is gone.
And
then
you have Paulie sign power of attorney to an accountant.
I don't understand that, because then Paulie could have been maybe not a drunk anymore, or at least he's better, and then he's the one who finds them the house. And like he says, he goes, "Look, Rock, this is a great house. It's really nice. I found it for you." But he only says that because he knows he screwed up. So okay, he doesn't screw up, but he still goes, "Look, Rock, I found you this house." Wow, Paulie's turning into a good guy.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and for him then, so I guess Mickey's place was in the kid's name, which is kind of weird, but okay, whatever. I guess it's so the government can't take it away. So then the
yeah.
kid signs it over to, or maybe it's still in the kid's name. He reopens Mickey's place where he totally plays off the Rocky thing. He doesn't keep it looking like a dump. He totally plays off of the whole Rocky thing. And people come in and they join there to get trained by Rocky or Rocky's people.
Yeah.
And kind of like what they did with the Creed stuff with like the Apollo gym. And he lives off that. Why does Adrian go back to the pet shop?
You know, my biggest problem is that
now you said one worst one. Do you want to tell me what that worst one is now? Is this the worst one?
This is the worst one.
Okay, I figured.
This is the one that I had the most problems with. I enjoy it for what it is, but I've heard from numerous people, if your brother-in-law lost you millions of dollars, would he still be living with you at that point?
No, and this one goes back to Rocky being dumb like he was in part 2. All of a sudden, he's dumb again. Really dumb. Because if he was the Rocky from part 3, he'd be like, okay, we're moving to friggin' Las Vegas. I'm going to get a job at a hotel where people are going to come in to meet me. Because the guy's the champ. What place wouldn't take him? Mike Tyson lives out here. And he does that type of stuff. Why would you have to go back to the streets and get the old hat and the old jacket? And she has to, she's got the glasses again and the hat and she has to, it doesn't make sense. And this is directed by the same guy who directed Rocky 1 and The Karate Kid. And from
what I was told, that they wanted to try to make it come back full circle, which would be fine if it made a little more sense. Yeah, I mean, first of all, why would Paulie even be able to have the right to give it, to have, be involved with Rocky's accounting and all that stuff? Why would he even be involved in that? You know what I'm saying?
He wouldn't be. That's the thing that doesn't make sense, because it was only, what is it, like in 3 or 4 where he yells at Rocky for not giving him a job, and then Rocky says, "I'll give you a job," and that's to help out on the team. He's not behind the scenes. He's not an accountant. He's not a manager. He's not. He's one of the guys that holds the spit can, while Rocky's boxing.
Or a towel for him to dry off.
Or a towel, or he's there to give him a boost, or something, going out to the ring.
Cheer him on.
Yeah, it's just he would. Why would he have any of that? Rocky, I don't think would do any of that.
No.
And now I like some of it. I like Tommy Gunn. I like that
I do like Tommy Gunn's character. I like how it's like, hey, I want to be trained by you. Rocky finally says, hey, let me become Mickey at this point. Rocky's taking Mickey's position now. Let me train the next Rocky. Let me train the next coming star. So he decides to train Tommy Gunn, and he trains him and all that, and the main villain, what's his name?
One of the next 2 movies are the most forgettable villains.
Hold on a minute. Where's the dude?
cast. Tommy Gunn. And of
Tommy
course,
Gunn.
Mickey makes a ghost appearance.
What's his name?
Union Crane?
No.
Yeah, Union Crane.
Union Crane?
Yeah, his name's Union Crane.
His actor name or the character?
No, the character is Union Crane.
In Rocky 5 or 6?
Am I looking in the wrong Rocky? No, I'm looking at Rocky 5. I'm looking at Rocky 5. It's
in Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn, Michael Williams as Union Crane, reigning heavyweight champion of the world, wants to fight legendary Rocky.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I'm not seeing him. Okay,
he's way
no,
down. He's more.
I was talking about his George Washington Duke, the manager.
Oh,
his manager. I just wanted to punch that dude.
So in that that work print of part 5, he never gets punched. The ending is a little different. Mick is in the ending more as like Obi-Wan Kenobi type.
It's like a ghost kind of deal, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like yelling at Rocky and stuff to fight. And he fights Tommy, gets him up against that truck, and then puts his hand out, extends it to help him up. And the family comes and pulls him away. And then as he gets up, Tommy Gunn gets up, the cops come and arrest him.
Mm-hmm.
And with the manager that he tells Rocky, if you hit me, I'll sue you. And Rocky walks away.
Okay.
So I guess they must have had a test screening saying, no, he's got to have something like Rocky's got to hit him. Because Rocky's
got to punch him. Punch him. Yeah, punch him.
Because it's a funny hit. He hits him and he lands on the top of the car and he puts his head up and goes, ugh, and then goes back down like it's more like a comic book type punch.
He's like, he goes, sue me for what?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he got nothing. He ain't got nothing to sue for.
Yeah, and you gotta love Tommy Gunn's hair with the mullet, the blonde curly mullet. And he's a real boxer he can't act very well.
Tommy Morrison is his name.
Which is weird is in Rocky Balboa, how they talk about how that guy is a real boxer. They go, this is the first time we've hired a real boxer. Tommy Gunn was a boxer.
Well, if you really want to get
to...
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He may be the guy I'm thinking cancer. I do believe he did die of cancer. Yeah, because I had said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they brought back Tommy Gunn? And then I looked him up to see what else he's been doing, and it's like, oh, he died.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Well, if you really want to get down to it, I mean, Sylvester Stallone does say that he doesn't want, in his opinion, Rocky 5 never happened. So
it did. I'm sorry, it did.
It did happen.
It was supposed to be the final Rocky, and you could tell by the credits that it was meant to be the final Rocky.
Yeah,
and it did happen. I like the street fight. I like that it's not in a
I like the street fight. I did enjoy the street fight. I thought that was definitely a different instead of having Rocky in the ring, he's like, hey, let's take it to the streets. Now, let's go back to form at this point. Let's go back to where Rocky probably learned how to fight here.
Yeah. There were other things in it I didn't mind, like the little Marie stuff. I thought was a little creepy, but I didn't.
That was 6.
Oh fuck, that's right. God, these all blend together. So 5 is the son. He's ignoring the son, and the son doesn't. And the son is being beaten up by
school,
bullies.
and then he learns how to fight, which evidently glorifying him knowing how to fight is a good thing now. I was like, No, you should be like, no, you're not supposed to be fighting in school. Oh, that's great, kid. That's great.
Well, we get a little bit of that in Creed, you know, in one of the Creed, I think it's Creed 3, you know, we don't want our daughter to be, you know, raised on violence and fighting. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, well, when the bully comes at you, yeah, you do. So that's there's nothing, you know. But yeah, so
right
yeah,
and
he gets
left.
beaten up a lot. He learns how to fight, beats the crap out of the bully, and then it's like, hey, now we're friends. Which I think is it's worked with me like that in the past.
Uh,
I've either beat somebody's butt or they beat mine, and then we become friends. So it does
yeah,
happen.
that works.
Yeah, Tommy takes over. You know, replaces the kid. The kid gets jealous, regrets his
Hmm.
dad. Tommy then gets seduced by the dark side,
Yeah,
and
by
God,
George Washington Duke.
who is
Starts
supposed to
to
be Don? Don, help me,
just have
Don. He's supposed to
just
be the guy with the big long hair and it's silver, and he always did theatrics, and
hold on a
Don
minute.
King. Don King. He's supposed to be
Okay,
Don King.
I'm
Um,
not
but
dang.
that kind of dates it a little bit. But
Yeah,
I didn't mind him so much because even at the beginning when he interrupts the press conference when he gets back from Russia. So that's yeah, I don't think I would have minded it as much if Rocky wasn't as dumb, and if he used his business skills to go off of that. Like, okay, we got Mickey's gym. Let's repaint it. Let's re get it going again. And then I could totally do
yeah,
that to live off of. Maybe, you know, if we make good money, we could buy the pet store, make some extra money because it's right across the street. And then, you
yeah.
know, if Adrian wants to go in there, hi, I'm Rocky's wife, you know, type of thing, come see me. Um, and I don't mind the stuff with the son and Tommy Gunn. I don't mind all that. I just hate the stuff with Polly. I really hate the stuff with Polly, and that he's and just Rocky's so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's out of all of them, it's probably my least favorite, which we'll get to when we
Well, we'll
rank
get to
them.
that. Yeah. I even like that Polly defends Rocky when they're in the
Yeah,
bar right before the street fight, and he
hmm,
pushes Tommy Gunn. Like he goes at him and then Tommy just knocks him. And I like
and
that
Rocky
Polly
comes in.
defends him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, go
so kind of
Polly.
like redeems himself a little bit there. He's
Yeah,
like,
and it
why
just
don't you cook? He's like, why don't you try knocking me down?
all
Save it
right,
for
I
the
will.
ring. My
Outside.
ring's out. My ring's outside. Let's go.
Wow, I felt like I was there. I'm on that street.
Probably because we were there at one point.
Not true. Been there a lot. So yeah, so he wins. Okay, so then we can move on to 6,
Which is what?
which was
16 years later.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16 years later.
And we all thought that Rocky 5 was it. So yeah, so Rocky Balboa is 2006. And
So
Stallone wanted to direct this one like it was an actual boxing match.
yeah.
So it's got the cameras on the guy's shoulders and you could see them in the different
Hmm.
shots, and I
They
liked
did.
the
They
so
did the finals. They did the fight like it was a like an HBO special.
which until Creed they were all HBO.
Yeah.
Um and so I even have to look this guy up because I have no idea. Yeah, Spider's back in this one.
Yeah.
Where's the yeah, Mason the Line Dixon. I have no, does anybody remember him?
Not really.
No, he's another one of those
And
weak,
Antonio Tarver is his real name.
and he is a boxer too.
He is a boxer.
So we get that Rocky is now old. Adrian has died. of the lady
Yeah.
cancer, as he points out. So breast cancer, most likely. And
So
Polly is still
cringe.
there. Yeah, lady cancer. And Polly's still there. I do like that he's in the meat packing place painting. It's almost like to control his anger. He now paints. And I want those paintings. I want to get a hold of Stallone and see if he still has those paintings. And I want them because they're so bad. I want them. So I do like that.
So bad they're good.
Yeah, and I like that Paulie is kind of a dick in this because he doesn't want to keep reliving the past.
Yeah.
You know, they go to the grave, they do the tour, you know, of how Rocky and Adrian met and all that. And
Yeah.
he can't take it anymore. You know, it's just one of those
He
things.
basically tells Rocky the truth at this point, like you know, Rock, you treated her like a queen. I didn't treat her right, so I gotta live with that every time we go through one of these tours.
So interesting thing about that, the deleted scenes is they shot obviously things a few times. So there is that line of dialogue, but instead he says, I treated you like crap. He's like, my sister's now gone and I treated you like crap. So they reshot the scene someplace else and then changed it to Adrian, changed it to, and I treated my sister like crap, which is much better.
Yeah.
And
because I don't remember Paulie ever treating Rocky like garbage. I mean, Rocky
he yelled at him and he
yelled at him, but like
he yelled at him. He pushed him around a couple of times. I mean, remember Rocky said, "Hey, you got a good punch," you know, because he went to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
But the alternate ending. So I'll jump ahead. In the theatrical version, Mason, the line Dixon, wins. And they do that thing with the three judges, you know, first Mason, then Rocky, and then Mason. And he wins. Yeah. And Rocky goes over and congratulates him. And Mason's like, hey, no, you know, respect type of thing. And but in the alternate version, Rocky wins.
Okay.
And Mason's like, what the fuck? You could actually see him go like, what the fuck? Because to me, that was like that is not the way to go. Once again, Rocky should have, you know, it wasn't about winning. It was just going the distance. And he did that.
For the title, was it?
No, I don't think so.
It was just like a regular, just a match. I mean, even
because
if he did
of
win,
the video game.
Yeah, even if he did win, I mean,
I don't think not at his age, not at I don't think I think if they left it where he went, it's like, oh good, Rocky wins again. You know, every once in a while, Rocky's got to lose, and this guy was pretty powerful, and I'm glad that they switched it, and had it where Rocky lost, because when he leaves, you know, when he loses, it's all about Rocky.
Yeah, it's
not about Mason.
Yeah,
and that's the point. That's the whole point. It isn't that he won. And it's just like, wow, that was a bad decision. Really glad they didn't keep that in.
Yeah.
But it's so people know what we're talking about is there's which I think I've seen these before, so I think it's real, it's a boxing simulator where you would take an old boxer and put them up against a new boxer. Because I think I've seen it with like Muhammad Ali and then like Tyson or something. And in the simulation, Rocky wins. And of course, this pisses off Mason, who then they figure this is a great opportunity. We'll have you fight Rocky. And Rocky doesn't want to do it. And
remember, his brain injury is no longer a thing now.
Yeah, because now he's smart again. He was dumb in Rocky 5, so now he's smart again because he runs a restaurant named Adrian's, and it's doing well. This is what he should have done in part 5. Get a restaurant or something, or just go work at a restaurant as the boxer who walks around and tells stories. So now he's got the successful restaurant. He's doing good. You know, he's not living in a mansion, but he's doing all right. He drinks his eggs. You know, he's got his morning routines. One of the other scenes that's cut out is well, it's not a scene, it's actually a couple, is Polly's girlfriend. So Rocky comes home and, well, Rocky wakes up in the morning and then he walks down the hall. Like he starts to get stuff ready in the morning, like we saw him do with like the pull-ups outside and all that. What's missing from that is he goes into Polly's room. So we know that Rocky and Polly are living together, and he takes away like his cigar, like tray, and he takes out the bottle of booze and kind of puts the blanket up on him. And so we know that Polly's living with Rocky. And then later we see the girlfriend in Rocky's place, and she's taking the boxes. She has like the meat packing boxes, and she has all Polly's stuff, and she says, well, Polly wants to live with me. And that hurts Rocky, but he's like, okay, whatever he needs to do. And then later, when Polly gets fired from the meatpacking plant, which I thought sucked, because that's what happened to me. I was just working and they walked in with my freaking check and handed it to me and said, you're no longer necessary. And I actually felt really sorry for the guy. So they give him, when they give him his check and they fire him, there is a scene where he asked Rocky if he could move back in. And he's like, of course, you can move back in. So there's this whole subplot missing. So it's...
Yeah, I mean, I think the last two Rocky movies really had a lot of faults. I mean, I feel like Rocky Balboa...
Really?
I don't know. I just don't feel like the last two should have really been made. I mean, 5 maybe, but I don't know. I mean,
it's like Star Trek.
I enjoyed all of them. I enjoy every movie.
I am so glad that they did Rocky Balboa, because it's like Star Trek. You don't want to leave the original classic series with Star Trek: The Final Frontier.
Yeah.
They left it with Undiscovered Country, which was the perfect ending. Yeah. This Rocky Balboa is the perfect ending. Yeah. And so I don't think Mason, I mean, we see him fighting people, but I don't think but then Rocky accepts it. Why does Rocky accept it?
I think he just wants to prove that he still got it.
Oh,
he can still do it, even though everyone keeps telling him, "Oh, you're too old for this. You can't do that." Even his son was like, "Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?"
Yeah, his son is back in it, played by the actor from Heroes, because that's Sage wasn't there, and yeah, they don't get along. He moved because of Rocky's name, always in his shadow. Little Marie,
yeah,
her son, which I do think is funny, is when Rocky's talking to Little Marie outside their house, and he sees the two down there, and there's like the black kid and the white kid, and he immediately assumes the white kid is her son, and she goes, no, the other one. His father's Jamaican, and he's like,
okay.
I do like the relationship with the son. Which, if they had continued, could have been Creed, but not called Creed. Like, he could have continued it with her son.
Yeah.
To be a boxer, maybe.
I will tell you this. I did like that. When I was watching the reviews and stuff, a lot of people were saying that him and Little Marie kind of like started doing like an actual relationship, and I'm like, I was like, it is a relationship, but it's not a romantic relationship. It's more of like a, hey, I want to actually help you out, get you back on your feet and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he's lonely. He wants female companionship. He wants to help somebody. I think that even with Polly there, he doesn't feel useful.
Yeah.
And then, he meets up with her, with that stupid drunk chick who comes up to him in the bar. Hey, man. Hey, you're that guy. You want to buy me some drinks and my friends? Fuck you, man. And that was the scene that they reshot too. He comes into the bar and it's a guy with no leg. It's like a black guy in a wheelchair who runs the bar. And I don't know, maybe he was in one of the other films. And he's just like, hey, man, hey, what's going on? How's the bar? And the guy in the wheelchair is like, oh, everything's doing good. Sit down, Rocky. Let's talk. And then that's when Little Marie comes up and gives them both drinks. And she tells a little bit of the story of what she told in the actual film. And then that's when the drunk chick comes up. Hey, man. And then it's the guy that runs the bar is the one who says, hey, why don't you see if you could take her home? Because she has to walk. So it isn't Rocky just offering to give her a ride home. He's kind of told to do it. So it's interesting that there's like 3 or 4 scenes that were just completely reshot.
Yeah.
And they're all better in the original movie. None of the first stuff was as good. It didn't feel right. It didn't click.
Yeah.
And it's like the stuff with Paulie with him talking about Adrian.
God.
Oh, I was gonna say that's in an alleyway. And that's when he says, I miss my sister and I treated you like crap.
Yeah.
Like a completely different location. And which is not in the other movie, the real movie.
Yeah. Well, I think if they would have done it the other way with the guy with no leg, asking him to take her home, then he would have the line where he goes, "Hey, I remember, screw you, creepo."
That line is still in there. She still says, she still says that she doesn't remember saying it.
Even in that scene with the guy asking.
Yeah. It's like the dialogue is there. So in the real movie, it's the black woman who runs the bar, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to lock up. I'm going to take off," and it's very small scene with her. But with the guy in the wheelchair, he's like there the whole time. Like the drunk chick comes up, and Marie's there, and it's a much longer scene with a lot of people. Like there's a ton of people in the bar.
Yeah.
But in the one in the theater, it's only like a few people.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But I don't think
I haven't seen.
I'm forgetting what is the exact, why does he fight? Because he's with the son, little Marie's son. They get the dog that I love. What happened to Brutus, by the way? Movies 1 and 2, and then Brutus disappears in 3. Where's Brutus? But then he gets the old dog, which I loved him getting that dog, Rocky getting the dog, because the son wants to get like the pit bull. And Rocky's like, no, that dog has character. That's an old dog. And I love seeing these videos on YouTube where people go to these shelters and they will pick out the oldest and dog and the one that isn't wanted to try to give it the best home before it dies. And I like that because Rocky's old, Polly's old, the dog is old.
Symbolic.
It's and I really like that. I really like that dog, which of course then disappears later, so I guess it died. But it's I just can't think of exactly why he chooses to fight.
I mean, I think he's like they come up to him and they offer it to him, and he said, "Hey, I need to think about it." Then he's like, "Hey, can I do it?" And then basically, little Marie actually kind of is like, "Hey, if you say you want to do it, you need to do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for yourself."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So something along the lines.
Yeah, and then he fights. He goes through the training montage.
Yeah,
and he looks great. And then he fights Dixon, and he loses because of he went the distance. He loses because of the judge's count.
Yeah.
So, but there's the respect line in there, that he gives. That it's just like,
he's like, "You're still a legend." He goes over and like gives him like a fist bump and says, "Hey, you're still a legend, Rocky. Respect."
Yeah. And then we got 3 left, and then we have our ratings. And then we got of course, Creed. And that was 2015.
Yeah.
And I think this is the smartest thing that Stallone could ever do, was hand the series over to somebody else.
Yeah.
Make it a black fighter. Make it black writers. Make it a black director. Throw in rap and hip hop music,
Mhm.
because each one of these keeps making more money. And I think it was very smart. I don't really like the idea of Apollo cheating, but okay.
Apollo cheating?
Yeah, Apollo cheated. That's how Adonis came in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because then Adonis's mother
Yeah.
died. He ended up in juvie for fighting, and then Apollo's wife that we know, different actress, but that we know,
Yeah.
came and got him out of juvie and you know, made basically, you know, like a surrogate mother.
Yeah.
And I like that Adonis didn't want to use the Rocky or use the Creed name. I like the Johnson.
Wanted to more or less wanted to earn his way through it.
Yeah.
By the way, I do want to mention something. The rap music in Creed makes perfect sense. In Rocky 5 does not make sense.
No, it does not. And thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to. It's not very good. And they do another like kind of like a hip hop version of his brother's song. Like
Yeah.
Take Me Back. They I think that's the very first song. It's like a like
so
a
as soon
different.
as soon as you brought up the hip hop, I was like, yes, I do need to mention that before we go any further. Creed makes sense. Rocky 5 does not make sense. So
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and Michael B. Jordan does a really good job.
Yes, he does.
He
Great
survived
job.
from Fan Four Stick, so his career was not destroyed by that movie. And
What was it?
Fantastic Four, or as we call it, Fan Four Stick, because it's Fan
okay.
Four Stick. Like the four is right in the middle. But it's fantastic.
I didn't even know he was in that movie. I watched it once and it was terrible.
No, he was the Human Torch. Josh Trank did that. I'm one of the few people who liked it, but I'd like to see his cut of that. I think maybe
the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
You did
compared to the other ones, I liked it. Yeah.
Okay. I need to watch it again, give it another chance.
Oh, it's not good. I mean, it's not great. I think probably the best version of that is the Roger Corman one. It's the one that fits the comics better.
Oh, okay.
But I like it better than the two, like the ones that came out with Alba, Jessica
Chris
Alba.
Evans and
Chris Evans as the Human Torch. I like it better than that. I like that it's darker. Yeah, and he's in it, and I think he does a really good job. Tessa Thompson, who's his girlfriend, is I think gorgeous, and I've liked her also in Thor, and she was in Men in Black International.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Jonathan Moody about this, which is something that Disney has a huge problem with, is now Doctor Who and some other stuff. Well, Disney now bankrolls Doctor Who, but is if they have a trans character or they have a queer character or they have a black character, that is their whole identity. That's it. Like there's nothing. My light keeps turning back on and off. There's nothing else to their character except that I'm gay, and that's it. If you look at something like Creed, is his girlfriend begins with an M. I think it's an M. No, it's a D. I think it's a D. Bianca, thank you. Yeah, Bianca, thank you. So Bianca she's going deaf. So she's wearing the hearing aid.
Mm-hmm.
And
which I totally relate to, by the way, because I am partially deaf, so. You're a jerk, man.
And but throughout the films, it gets worse.
Yeah.
And even their kid is fully deaf. Mm-hmm. It's not who she is. That is just part of her character. And it's an unfortunate thing for her character because she's a musician, a singer, a songwriter.
Yeah.
You know, and this will affect her. Yeah. But it's not who she is. Not every single scene that she is in, she doesn't
I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Yeah, feel sorry for me.
Yeah. and I think that that's awesome. It's also the you know, which is also why I like that this is now taken a going more to the black actors and the black directors and all that is
Yeah.
you don't get in these movies, which I'm really thankful for. Rocky is brought up once being white, and that is it. And that's when she looks down and she sees Adonis and Rocky, and Adonis goes, "Oh, this is my unc," and she goes, your uncle's white." And I thought that was funny, and she obviously knows it's Rocky just from looking at him because she
Like
brings
you
it up
didn't tell
later.
me your. Why didn't you tell me your uncle was Rocky Balboa?
Yeah, and that's the only time I think race is ever brought up
And
in
it was,
this.
and it wasn't done out of disrespect. She's like, that's not your, that's not your real uncle. It's like a, like adopted uncle kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. And so and I really like that. I like what they
Yeah,
did. Now
it's
this
very respectful,
does,
and I like that.
yeah, and it's through all three movies. And
Yeah, see, see, Disney needs to learn. We can have movies that aren't freaking woke.
yeah, these are not woke
What a
movies at
concept!
all.
And you know, I was worried about that with with three for when because three came out right just last year, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, are they gonna make it woke? Oh, please don't make it woke."
Yeah, it's there are a couple lines, but guys say it all the time. Like when uh uh Adonis and Dame are in the house and Adonis goes, "Oh, the women run the house. I just live here." But I hear that from
Yeah,
men all the time. You know, like they'll come in to pay a bill and go, "I don't know what it is. My wife pays the bills." So that even stuff like that isn't woke. It's just kind of like what guys do because the you
pretty
know,
much.
yeah. And it's so I thought that this was kind of Rocky,
Yeah,
right? You got the two guys, he busts the one guy, knocks him out. He's got to find a fighter. Let's find somebody who's not known. And they pick Johnson, Adonis Johnson, because he's unknown. I do like the
mm,
stuff in Mexico where he's just kicking the crap out of the boxers.
yeah,
And even before the ref counts to 10, Adonis is unwrapping his, his hands, knowing that, yeah, I won. He's down. Um, and all these characters are, none of these characters are perfect. They're not Mary Sue's,
no,
which is another problem Disney has in Star Wars and all that. All of them are
yeah,
flawed. All of them are flawed. You know, and then we find out that Rocky has cancer,
yeah.
which kind of
Which,
disappears in a
yeah,
kind of Breaking Bad type of way.
yeah,
We just see him taking a couple pills in the second one. Um,
yeah.
but it's so they convince Rocky and Adonis to fight, and he he loses, right?
No,
Does he win?
he wins the first time. He win. Um,
Do they fight twice?
no, just one. The Drago he fought twice.
So this one he does win.
Yes. No, no, he doesn't win. He makes it the whole way, and then
Because there's a scene with him on the ground and he kind of jolts up
yeah,
and then he fights. And
yeah. He doesn't win. He does. They make it the whole way to the end, and it's the judge's decision.
and who wins?
Uh,
Is it the guy, the
the
English guy?
the Pretty Ricky, whatever his name is.
Pretty Ricky wins.
Yeah,
Okay.
does he?
Yeah, because I don't think he wins in the
Just
first one.
watch this.
Yeah, I know, but they blend in.
I know, man. It's terrible. Hold on, man. Hold on, man.
Yeah,
Hold on, man.
so
Hold on.
I don't
Let me
think he
look. Let me
wins.
look.
He doesn't win. I can't leave people with silence.
Yeah. It says Ricky Conlon won the fight, but Adonis Creed won the night, is what the announcer says. So I guess it's he goes the distance, but Conlon wins by in a split decision. So
Okay. All right. So then when does so if it's a split decision and he wins, what do you think about the
Conlon wins.
girlfriend with the music?
I thought it was a definitely a unique take on her. I mean, especially when she especially with the hearing impairment. I mean, I think that's because I can relate because I remember my parents would always yell at me for having the TV up so loud because I wouldn't be able to hear it. So with her, what she's doing makes sense. So they did research into this, which I appreciate. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
Yeah,
and with her being a musician, uh, gives her something that's not just it's not just another Adrian. You know what I mean? I mean, nothing wrong with Adrian, but
well,
you know
Adrian didn't
it.
support him a lot. I mean, almost every movie, it's you're gonna die, and then she loves it when he wins at the end. In this one, she completely supports him, but throughout the movies, he keeps kind of like blocking her out.
Mhm.
And that really pisses her off. I like Adonis's and Rocky's relationship. I like all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I like that Rocky slowly believes who he is. I like that. I like the relationship between um what was her name again? Bianca?
Bianca, yeah.
I like the relationship between Adonis and Bianca. I do like when he's knocking on the door of her apartment and you just see the guy walk down the stairs and he just goes, "Good luck." Now it is a white
Yeah.
guy. It is a white guy who says that. So I don't know if that meant anything, but it is a funny this little line as they walk by. And
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. If it was a black guy or white guy, I didn't see that.
you
So
just see gray. You just see gray. You don't see white or black. You just see gray. Um, and then yeah, because then they get in the shape, they fight, and then yeah, they use go the distance again, and then it's the judge's decision. And then in so then we'll move on to the second one.
yeah.
God, these are just why are these blending in so much?
I
Uh
mean, they're once you've seen one Rocky movie or one Creed movie, they're pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over again.
well then now we
Just
got Creed
rewriting
2. Yeah,
yeah.
they just kind of alter stuff a little bit. So in Creed 2 is 2018,
Yes.
and that is the return of Drago. And
Yes.
I love this. And it only makes Rocky 5 better. And Rocky 5 only makes this better. And I
Rocky
love how
Five.
Rocky 4, sorry,
Okay.
Rocky 4, it only makes Rocky 4 better and only makes this film better. They go off of
Yeah.
one another. And I just love that Dolph came back and Victor is just friggin' huge. I watched the some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Um and it's a shame that his career didn't really take off as an actor or anything. He's done some stuff, but not a lot. But
Yeah.
and I like that he's basically just controlled by Dolph.
Hmm.
And Dolph has that, was just like living in the slums because, Brigitte left, Nelson left him and
In Ukraine.
in the Ukraine, that is
Yeah.
correct. And and
Basically,
Adonis
um,
wins, right? A fight. Like he wins the
yeah, he wins the WBC World Heavyweight Championship from Danny Stuntman Wheeler.
okay, so
So I
yeah,
guess another. So I guess another championship.
okay, so then he gets it, and then that's when Dolph and his agent or manager says,
there was a
you need to
manager that was
fight.
like watching both of them, and he
Yeah.
was just like, "Hey, we need to get you and Creed to fight each other."
Yeah. And Dolph and Victor come to America. They go to Rocky's restaurant. Rocky wants nothing to do with it. Dolph sees there's no pictures of him up on that wall. And then they do the threatening, the kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
And Adonis wants to do it because of Apollo.
And Rocky doesn't want nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
He's like, if you're gonna fight him, you're gonna do it on your own because I'm not gonna get involved.
Yeah, and it's kind of half-hearted because his heart's not in it. He's not doing the training and the fight for the right reasons. And then they get into the ring, and Victor just clobbers him. And to the point
how do you feel that he was disqualified?
Well, he hit him when he was down.
Okay. Do you
So
think that was the right?
Yes,
I think it would have been a little more effective if he would have got the title, and then he had to, go get it back from him.
Could he get the title because he's not American? It's like I don't think if
you remember when his manager got the call, he said, "Hey, because of the disqualification, he does not get the title." He got the phone. He's like
right.
So because I guess it was for the title.
Yeah, which I don't
he was supposed to take the title back to Russia.
Okay, so does that mean if Drago had won in part 4, he would have been champion?
No,
because that was just like an exhibition thing.
Yeah, that was just not a non-title match. This is supposed to be a title match. Well, I personally think it would have made it a little more like worth it if what's his son's name?
Victor.
Not Ivan. Victor. If Victor would have won the title, took it back to Russia, actually been celebrated and everything because of that. Drago's finally like, I'm accepted back into my own country. And then Apollo was like, yo, or not Apollo, but Adonis was like, hey, I want to challenge, I want a rematch. They have a rematch in Russia, and he takes his title back. I thought that would have been a little bit better than just being disqualified.
I like it being disqualified because it's different. He's not just like Rocky. He's not just losing something and then has to fight for it again. Instead, he's still the champ, which pisses off Victor. And he's like, no, we're going to fight again. Okay. And I like that Adonis is just messed up mentally, physically. He's like Maverick in Top Gun, when Goose dies, he's all screwed up. And he can't do it. And it takes, I think, like 6 months is what they said.
Okay.
Something like that between until he says yes again. And then
I think he was like he had to have a fight within 6 months or 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, because that's when
if he didn't have a fight, he would have to the title would be vacant.
Okay. So
he has to fight somebody.
So that's when Rocky comes back in. And something we didn't bring up with part 5 is I briefly brought it up, but Mick coming back in the flashback. I like that. I like that they got Burgess back. That was nice. So then Rocky comes back, and then that's when they do the full training, and he goes out into the desert, kind of starting from scratch, pulling a plane, and and he just gets beyond buffed.
Yeah.
And then they fight again. And it's kind of the same thing in a way. It's, he gets the blood and he realizes he's not who he is, Victor, who's not what he's said to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of loses his edge. And I almost tend to think what they tried to do with Drago in part 4, they did with this, which is, does Victor really want this? Because he doesn't
Yeah.
like his mom. You know, he yells
Well,
at
I think
Drago.
he got during the very end of the movie when his wife and his ex-wife and or which would be Victor's mother and her husband at the time up and leave. That basically, I think uh, basically Drago's like, yo, I know this is not gonna happen. This is not gonna work. It's gonna end up terribly for somebody. So
Well,
maybe he did.
Drago who?
Victor, not Victor. Ivan.
Well, Ivan sees that they're gone, but then also Victor sees later, and I think that's when he doesn't give up, but I think that he's just like, I'm kind of done. And he
Yeah,
still fights. He still fights hard, but it's like they're
but then
gone. What's the point? You know,
yeah,
and then
and
you know,
then basically Ivan just throws in the towel like, hey, I'm
yeah.
thinking maybe because hey, he didn't want to see a repeat of Apollo. You know, if his son got all ticked off and stuff and end up killing, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, there is that point because that's when, because there was in like Creed where he's on the ground, he has the flashbacks and he snaps out of it. This one he
Hmm.
has the fists.
Yeah.
I think it was going down, and that's what kind of gets him re-energized, and then he pops up and
Hmm.
you know, yeah, that just starts beating the shit out of him, which seems to be Apollo's thing, is to get the crap beaten out of him, and then something snaps, and then he just becomes his own machine and
Pretty
just takes
much.
these guys down. Yeah, and um, so he wins. So he keeps the championship, and then um, now I'm blanking. I think this was a deleted scene. I don't think this was in the actual film, but there is a scene where it's at the very end, and you see Victor is sitting down, and Adonis walks up to him and sits right next to him, and they have a whole conversation. And then Ivan comes in, and they do a stare off. So it's Adonis and Ivan doing a stare off, and then Adonis leaves, and Ivan goes over to Victor, kind of like patting him and giving him a towel and all that, like sitting next to him. And then Rocky walks by and sees Ivan, and they kind of nod, like there's some agreement now, like they're okay.
Yeah.
And but I don't think anything like that was in the actual movie, right?
No,
Like there
that
isn't,
may have
they're
that
not
may have been a
together.
dude. Nah, the only thing
Okay.
that's close to that is in 3.
Which is why when I saw 3, I went, oh, because they didn't use that scene, they kind of did it in part 3.
Yeah.
So and then we get the very end, because everything's good for Rocky and all them. They're all happy. And then
Hmm.
we do see then both Dragos back in the Ukraine jogging.
Yeah.
And but um yeah, they're jogging, so that ends it. So then
Yeah.
part 3, which came out actually this year, March of
Yeah.
2023. That begins with 2 of the fighters. The guy went to jail, and now he's
Yeah.
back fighting Adonis.
Yeah.
Adonis wins, so he's still holding onto his crown there.
So
And
he has both 2 championships now.
right,
So
right.
so because he has the championship that he won from the Wheeler guy, and then he win the championship from Pretty Boy Rick Collin or whatever his name is. Basically
Okay, right.
making it a unified championship.
Okay. And then and then I think it cuts to like 7 years later.
Yeah.
And because
Or
the
he's
daughter
retired.
is now like 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's got the hearing aid, she can't
Yeah.
hear. And Adonis has now been retired and kind of just living the good life, doing those Armani ads and just doing different ads and stuff.
Yeah.
And now my theory of why Rocky is only mentioned once in this is he's dead. So it's been like he died not too long after part 2, and it's been a good 5-6 years since he died. So they just don't bring him up as much. He doesn't, Adonis doesn't bring him up like Rocky did with Mick and Apollo and Adrian and all that. He's just, he's moved from the past to the future. So Rocky.
Yeah, but I wish they would have like mentioned that.
I don't think they wanted to because of part 4, maybe. I mean, Stallone had a fight with Winkler. And that's why he did, he already, Ivan Winkler, he's the producer of all of them and he owns the rights.
Oh, okay.
And Stallone did have a script and the script was rejected. And then when he got the script from Michael B. Jordan, he didn't like it. But Winkler did.
Okay.
Because I don't even think like Victor Drago is owned by Rocky or owned by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Because he's in Creed 3. They're now friends. Which I love.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean,
I love that they're friends. I think that's because it's another one of those, okay, you kicked my ass, now we're friends. I love that. I thought it was great.
Okay. I mean,
and I like that he came back at the end to train him. But yeah, I think Rocky is unofficially dead.
Okay. I mean, I just wish they would have like hinted at it or like saying like
they can't.
It's not. I mean,
if he wants to come back for part 4, they can't hint that he's dead.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You just don't bring him up. Like you bring his name up once, which they did for the Apollo Rocky fight for the first film where Rocky was unknown. They brought that up. And that's it. Rocky's never brought up again. And I don't think they wanted to, just in case things got worked out. And he would come back for, for part 4. And then if it came to that point where it's like, yeah, Stallone's never coming back, then they could have Adonis go, oh yeah, the cancer came back at an incredible rate.
Yeah.
The guy like died overnight.
Yeah.
Like he would go to his, like Rocky's grave.
Yeah.
That maybe that's how part 4 would start if Stallone is still not going to help out. But
yeah.
And I like the direction of this. I think Creed 3 is the best directed. I think it's the best edited. I think it's the best acted. I love the story of his, of this, of the friend who got out of jail, like 18 years later, 17 years later. Yeah. And that he's just completely duping, just using Adonis. He's just manipulating him.
I don't know, man. The only thing, dude, every time he had that look, he's like, I just want to jack that dude. He's like, it's like, dude, can you please pick another face to do, please?
I didn't mind his face at all. He was just trying to play innocent, oh, thank you for the meal when he got out of jail, and he goes to the bar and or to the boxing place, and all of a sudden, that stuff with Tanya Harding, when she did that stuff with the ice skating thing happens where, Dane sends in the guy to bust Victor's hand and arm and stuff. And so then he can't fight for 6 months. Yeah. They pull a Rocky and, convince people to give Dane the chance when he's kind of like a tank. I mean, he's more like Mr. T.
Did they ever did they ever mention that he's the one that set up to? When do they mention it?
So after the fight,
Okay,
and Adonis gets his ass kicked, and Dane wins. He's all messed up, and he
got
goes to his
Adonis. What's his
Adonis.
name?
No, Adonis is messed up because they do the first fight.
Yeah, that was between him and that Felix guy.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, I'm sorry. So yeah,
Because
so
Felix was the champion.
yeah, so Dane, just kicks the shit out of Felix,
Yeah.
and Adonis's mom says, "I need to talk to you," and he goes over to the house, and she pulls out all the letters that he never knew, that Adonis never knew were there, and he's really upset at the mom, and the mom's not apologizing, and she goes, "By the way," misquoting, but like, "he's using you," and she shows him the picture with Dane and the guy who broke Victor's arm and his hand, and he takes that and goes to the beach.
When I seen the picture, and I was like, I must have missed something somewhere along that line.
You don't see the guy really hit Victor, because the camera's kind of like, let's find it type of thing. But on the news, you see a big picture of him, and it says, "This is the guy accused of doing that."
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together when I seen that. So
the first time I saw it, I didn't either. The second time I went, "Oh, they're the same guy."
This was my first time view, so that's probably why I didn't catch it.
Oh, okay.
So.
And then makes sense. And then Adonis goes to the beach where they're having their party, and that's when, and he shows Dane the picture, and that's when Dane just lets everything out. "Oh yeah, I've been using you. You're a little shit. Fuck you. I'm the king now. What are you gonna do about it?" Even punches him.
Basically says like, "Hey, how would you like it if you seen someone else living your life for you?"
Yeah,
like basically like saying like, "Hey, you stole everything from me," even though he didn't really steal anything from him.
But that's, victim complex. So he thought that he did, and because
there's the little bit of wokeness, but not much.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call that wokeness. I just call that just him. Because Adonis did run away.
Being entitled, being not entitled, but like saying like, "Hey, you're the reason I went to jail," even though technically not the reason he went to jail, but he had the gun, so that's really the reason why he went to jail.
Yeah, Adonis, I think they said he was like 8 when it happened, and he was beating the guy, and then the cops show up, and then Dane has the gun aimed at the guy, and Adonis runs, and so Dane took the blame. Yeah, because they had the gun in priors, and probably for being black. The judge gave him 18 years. So he he blames Dane for everything.
Yeah.
And then they go back and forth, especially Dane, with criticizing him and making fun of him and all that. And he just can't take it anymore. Like, his wife finally gets him to talk, because he's so closed off, like he was in all the movies. And she supports him, and then he gets the guys that he's been training with. And
well, his mother passed away.
Mother dies. Yeah.
And then that's what really decided to open him up. He's like, "Hey, let me tell," like, he apologized to her and says, "Hey, here's what's going on."
Yeah, because they had the big fight with the picture and the letters and all that, and then she has the stroke with a heart attack.
Yeah.
And then she passes away. We got the funeral, and I think that's when he decides to do it.
Yeah.
And then he does the big training, and then there's the fight, and I love that fight. I love how it's all like
more of a cinematic.
It's like it's in their heads. So at one point, the the entire audience disappears and there's the smoke, and then the cage pops up.
Yeah.
And they're just duking
I
it
like that.
out.
That was good.
And very different from all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Michael B. Jordan did such a good job directing this. Everything in this to me was just what was almost perfect. I mean, and then of course it looks like Dana's gonna beat him. And he doesn't. I mean, yeah, that's he wins. And this is one of the Adonis wins. And this is one of the few where the opponent doesn't come up to them. Dane just walks away. He just looks at him and walks away. So who knows in the future? I mean, they are making part 4. And then that's
that was when he confronts him in the locker room and they kind of
yeah. And then they talk, and if you need me, call me, I'm always here. So who knows? Maybe they'll be the next Rocky and Apollo Creed together.
There you go.
Yeah, you got the little girl, the daughter, who's fighting. I do like that. This is something we haven't mentioned, that the daughter does have a bully in her school, takes the picture away from her. I love that the daughter just does a straight shot into the camera and just texts the girl. and Adonis is perfectly fine with that. It's the mom who's not. We can't.
You need to teach your daughter that they need to not resort to violence. He goes, well, if she deserves it, then she deserves a punch in the face.
Yeah, and he's all mad that his daughter's getting, in trouble and the other girl isn't, and because they're just like, oh, well, the other girl just wants attention. And he's like, okay, well, then go up and talk to her. Don't snag the picture, because then you're going to get punched in the face if your dad's the heavyweight champion of the world. So, and I do like that the mom comes around, a little bit, because then they're kind of duking it out. So I don't know, maybe part 4 jumps a little bit more and we got female Rocky.
Maybe when she gets older, she's gonna, maybe she starts to train her. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense in as far as the story goes.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see where they go with part 4. So
yeah,
I also think it has one out of the Creed movies, it has the best soundtrack. It's just so beautifully lit and shot and just edited, and he just does such a great job directing. I mean, it's because I did watch the behind the scenes stuff, and it just seems difficult directing yourself in something like that. You're in front of the camera, not behind. So, but it looks like they did a lot of that stuff with the fights with a very small audience in like a contained area, and all the rest of it was like CGI, so they could control it better. So that's okay. Yeah, that's all the films, because we talked about Rocky versus Drago. So shall we do our ratings?
We sure can. All right, so are we doing these separately, or are you doing them all together?
Yeah, why don't you go first with your Rocky, and then I'll do Rocky, then you can do Creed, then I'll do Creed.
Okay. All right. Well, for starters, I want to mention that I don't hate any of these movies. So all these movies I enjoyed to a certain extent. Even with the problems I have with 5, I still enjoyed it. Okay. So I will watch 5 again. So it's not like I will never watch these movies again. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, number 7, because we're doing the director's cut and the theatrical cut as separate, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So number 7 is Rocky 5.
Okay.
So number 6 is Rocky Balboa.
Wow, ours are going to be very different. Okay.
Okay. So number 5 is Rocky 4.
Okay.
The theatrical cut.
Okay.
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 Number 4 is Rocky 2.
Okay. Okay.
3, Rocky 1. And my number 2 and number 1 have been going back and forth. So Number 2 is Rocky 4, the director's cut.
Okay.
And then number 1's Rocky 3. Because doggone it, Clubber Lang is a freaking awesome villain. I like him better, a little bit better than Drago. Just a tad bit more.
Okay. Okay.
I still like Drago.
Drago's
Drago's a great character.
Okay.
But I just like Mr. T just a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
All right. So I have mine listed as Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, and then I just put the numbers where I thought that, so I'm gonna have to kind of look around here. Okay, so number 7, the worst, Rocky vs. Drago. I really think it feels like a fan film. Number 6, Rocky 5.
Wow, you really didn't like the director's cut of 4. I thought 5 would be the worst. Okay. Hey. Okay.
Number 5 is Rocky 2, because I hate how dumb he is. Number 4 is Rocky 1. The first Rocky is number 4. Okay. Number 3 would be Rocky 4.
Okay.
Number 2 would be Rocky Balboa. And
Okay.
Rocky 1, or my favorite one, would be Rocky 3. So we agree on that one.
There you go.
Okay. So now Creed. How do you do Creed?
All right, so Creed. Starting off with number 3. I'm going to say the first Creed is number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, Creed 3.
Okay.
And then number 1 would be Creed 2.
Okay.
I like 2 just a little bit more than 3. 3 was still really good. 1 is like the starting, like the building the characters up. So in reality, it makes sense to put Creed, the first one, at number 3. But I still enjoyed all 3 of them. I would definitely be rewatching these. So.
Okay, so I have 2 things. My original, before I watched all the Creed movies, my list would be number 3 would be Creed. Number 2 would be Creed 3. Number 1 would be Creed 2 because of Drago and all that. It's like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Nothing's going to be Creed 2. On this viewing, it was Creed, Creed 2, then Creed 3 as number 1.
Okay.
So those may flip. Maybe depending on what part 4 is.
So Creed 2 and 3, so 2 and 3 are constantly like flipping between.
Yeah, I think Creed would always be 3. But
yeah.
Creed 2 and 3.
I mean, like I said, the first one's like, it's introducing a new character. You're getting to know a character. When you get to 2 and 3, you know these characters already. Now you just want to. Now it's just who are they going to fight? You want to learn who the villain is at this point.
Yeah. So okay. So, well, we got our both our number 1s were correct.
Rocky 3, yeah.
Creed, yeah.
Okay, so
I
disagreed with us.
Right. Anything else you would like to say? Because wowzers. Okay.
It's going to be a long episode, everybody. Hope you enjoy.
Listen to it at work. You don't have to watch. You can just listen. Anything else you want to say about the series?
I mean, Creed and Rocky, the classics. If you haven't watched them, what are you doing with your life? Go watch them. Why are you watching us? Go watch this.
Yeah. Go check them out.
Go watch them all. All of them. Even 5.
And even the director's cut. And if you like the director's cut, watch the documentary. If you're curious about his earlier stuff, watch Paradise Alley, just so you can get an idea of, what he was forced to make as a boxing movie. So
I'll have to watch that at some point. And
I might like it. I haven't seen it in decades. So I don't know. I just remember being bummed. Like, he's not a boxer. He's not Rocky. He's a trainer.
Maybe maybe this time if you watch it, knowing that you'll be like, oh, well, it was actually not that bad of a movie.
Yeah, it probably failed because it wasn't Rocky.
Probably.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. So, as we pointed out, our next one is probably going to be Rambo. So, only 5 of those, at least. That'd be a little easier.
At least we won't be going this long, right?
I hope not.
And then Rambo went into the town.
Maybe at some point we'll get the Rambo versus Predator, because at one point he was gonna, he was gonna fight maybe an alien. Van Damme was gonna do that too, but then I heard that they were throwing around a Rambo alien movie, and then he chose human trafficking. So, which I'm one of the few people that liked it. So even with 10 minutes missing. Assholes. So, all right, we'll talk about that stuff next month. So, okay, everybody, thank you. If you made it this long, wow, you are awesome. Go out and buy yourself something nice. Ugh. So, what were you pointing at?
I was just giving a thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up. All right, everybody, bye. I will talk to you. We will talk to you on the next one. So, have fun. Thanks. Bye.
And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Yes, thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Donald.
And you as well.
Well, thank you. Just in case. All right.